Welcome one, welcome all. We are welcome to our informal session, and we're going to go ahead and get going. And Mr. Dehaney.
So, Mr. Mayor and members of council, at this time, at the request of several members of this body, we'll be joined by the CEO of United Way of Hampton Roads to give an overview of the VB Thrive program. All right. So, Mark, the floor is yours.
Welcome.
Hi. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the time and the opportunity. This is a great example of a public-private partnership that we are extremely proud of, and I'm extremely happy and excited to be able to share some of the results that we've seen from this VB Thrive work over the last several years. So, as Patrick mentioned, my name is Mark Urin. I'm the CEO of the United Way of Southampton Roads. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how we got to where we were, sort of the genesis of this program. And then I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Kim Heath, who's the Senior Director of our Economic Mobility work. And she directly manages this work to talk about specific outcomes of this program, which, again, we're really excited about. So the VB Thrive program, so it started with ARPA funding back in 2021. So kind of summer of 2021 through 2022, United Way, we began designing the program. What does it look like? Beginning to hire our mobility mentors, folks that would work directly with the population, and really setting up what the program looks like, what are the results we're trying to do, what is the population we're going to serve, and what are the outcomes we're looking to accomplish. One of the things that we initially and still believe is the absolute right way to do is we landed on the ALICE population to work with exclusively. So ALICE is an acronym which is Asset Limited, Income Constrained, but Employed. So basically this is the working poor. When we look at the population of Virginia Beach, about 50% of the citizens in Virginia Beach fall at the ALICE threshold or below. So these are folks that are working, many folks working full-time, but not working to be sustainable to be able to sustain themselves. The one thing that the ALICE data does that the poverty data does not do is it takes into account geographic restraints in terms of the cost of housing, the cost of childcare, the cost of healthcare in different areas. So, for instance, a family of 4 with 2 small children, the ALICE threshold for a livable wage is about $74,000. So that, again, it takes into account what does rent cost, what does childcare cost. So it's a lot more reflective than just the poverty standard. So when we think of folks that are living at the poverty level, this takes into account other factors into this. So we believe that working with this population, we have a unique opportunity, and I think you'll see by some of the results, we have seen that we can get this population and we can help them achieve goals and we can help them move to a place where they're self-sufficient, where they begin to thrive and they're putting money back into our economy, back into this community. And I think very importantly, as we look at the whole scope of our work, not just this, when we look at the education work that we do with the kids, we look at the multi-generational, we know that a big part of this work and a big part of what we do is we want to keep families intact. We know that families living and keeping them intact is a big part of that success. And one of the ways, and we'll show a little bit of that, is around the eviction prevention. And that's kind of coming out of COVID. Once that moratorium was lifted, we knew that there were a lot of folks that were living kind of paycheck to paycheck that were at serious risk of eviction. And this program allowed us to work with them specifically and keep them housed. When we look at this, there are 2 specific tracks that we've developed. One is a short-term track and one is a long-term track. And we'll talk a little bit more about both of those. And I think the future and the longevity of this program, the long-term track, we know it's a lot more intensive. It's a lot more working directly. It's also obviously longer. It's up to a year. But in that track, we are seeing some really amazing results. And we're seeing people that are coming out of that really being self-sufficient and really beginning to thrive. So kind of where are we now? So this is an example of the long-term track. So when you look here, we're about 3,800 applications for services are coming in. they come into this. We've got our mentors. They're looking at the long term. They're input into a central system, and then with that, they are paired with a mentor. And then at that point, they're beginning to look at what are the specific issues that this person is dealing with. Is it transportation? Is it childcare? Is it lack of education? Really developing a plan that is specific to that individual, knowing that there is no one shot that attacks all of this, that we've got to work with folks where they are, what are their unique challenges, what are their individual things that they're dealing with. And I think that is where we have been able to see success, not trying to say there is a one-stop fit for everyone, but we need to really understand what are the unique challenges that each ones are having. I think some of the once they've come into the program, we've set individual goals specific to them, and then we're working with a multiple of partners, whether it's workforce development, whether it's housing and eviction prevention, a lot of wraparound services. We've got folks that is, whether it's transportation needs, childcare needs, what are things that we can do immediately so we can help them leverage some of the opportunities that are available in the community. So this is kind of the Cadillac service of what we do with the long-term care. And I think this is where we are seeing the greatest results, but it's also the most time intensive. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of work to get there, but we are seeing great results. And we really feel that long term, this is where our investments in this area, we're seeing some of the biggest returns and some of the biggest returns back into this community. Look at the second piece of this is the short term. And short term, we're able to, the volume is significantly increased. So we're looking at, over about 2,700 to almost 2,800 individuals come through this short term. And these are individuals, in some cases, the individuals in the short term end up going into the long-term program, but these are individuals that there are very specific issues that we can help them address. In many cases, it's finding what are the resources that are already available in this community that they're not aware of and connecting them with the resources that are available. It's also working with housing. So we're, if they're, at risk of being evicted, that sort of thing, we can help them with that. If it's, car payments, that type of things, we can help them in the very short term and kind of set that up in a case management piece. But again, this is a little bit more of a Band-Aid approach, but helping folks get by in the very short term so that they can kind of leverage some of the things that are already available and help them towards success. And then for the folks that need more, there's the long term that we've got. So kind of where are we now? And then I'm going to turn it over to Kim to talk about some of the outcomes that we've seen. But the original grant was $15 million. It was reduced to about 11.3. To date, we have spent about $8.2 million of that grant funding. We are currently in this fiscal year, which began July 1st, we've spent about $810,000 of the spending. So that gives us a little over $3 million, almost 3.1 left to spend. Of those dollars that spent, about $4.5 million have gone directly back to either eviction prevention, housing services, directly around some of the wraparound services. We've also had a large chunk that goes to workforce development for training, for returning education. We've also got a lot of partners that we're dealing with, whether it's the Urban League, it's Catholic Charities that do mentoring with them. They do workforce training. They do all types of training stuff. So we're funding all of this and working with that now. So kind of where we are now, what's left of this. And now I want to really, the exciting part of this is the outcome. So this is, Kim Heath is our senior director working directly with this program. And she's going to talk about, specifically what we are seeing, the results we are seeing back of this. So, and I'll come back up and kind of close this out.
Thank you, Mark. And thank you for having us here today. This is a wonderful opportunity to highlight what Virginia Beach Thrive has been able to do and put back into the community. I would like to talk to you today about some of our current outcomes. And I'm going to particularly talk about the outcomes of our long-term program. And just to highlight again, we do have two program tracks. We have a short-term track and a long-term track. In our short-term track, which is about a 4 to 6 week program, we really want to support participants by assessing their needs, providing them with resources, like Mark had said, into the community. And we also incentivize our participants for completing those referrals. And we do that so that they ensure continued progress and program commitment. And the main focus is to address those urgent needs, such as housing stability, which is still a fact due to COVID, and related setbacks due to past rent, loss of jobs, loss of hours. Even though we are about 2.5 years outside of the original pandemic, we are still seeing some significant side effects to that. And in our long-term program, a year long, we emphasize on sustainability, sustaining financial stability. We want our participants to be paired with a one-on-one mentor to set and achieve individualized goals. They meet with their mentor 2 times a month in the community, before work, during their lunch break, after hours, sometimes meeting on the weekend in their family home, discussing what individualized goals that they want to work on, whether that be around housing, workforce development, education, social emotional well-being, and really financial education. A lot of ALICE participants that live paycheck to paycheck may end up in a financial bind, and they need some legal resources as well. Our main focus is to be very holistic, to grow independence in various life areas so that we foster a strong relationship and we build rapport with our mentors. That's extremely important for us. We want to encourage development and personal empowerment to help our participants build skills and resources over time. So you see on this slide here that we have in our long-term program, we have had 238 long-term participants. To be a long-term participant and be a successful closure, you have had to stay in the program for 1 complete year, meeting with your mentor 2 times a month, completing individualized goals. So if you look to the very, very end of this particular slide, you'll see 185 total closures with 76 successful closures. The 165 total closures may be people that did not complete the entire program. Sometimes they get the resources that they need, they've increased their credit score, they've been able to get a degree or license or certification, and they don't need the full long-term program. But 76 out of those 238 completed the entire 1 month or 1 year program. So these are the averages that we were able to get out of that. And those averages are being able to increase their annual income of just about $10,000, increasing their average credit score of 17 points. Although this may seem like a low number for most of us, that is a really, really big impact to people that are in crisis, people that never had a savings account, and to people that have had so many negative derogatory marks on their credit report that we've been able to work with a one-on-one financial counselor in the community to even get their credit score moved within really a 1 year period of time. And then their average savings, most ALICE families don't have the ability to always have a savings account. Once an emergency arises or a crisis arises, they take that money immediately out of what they might have been putting into a savings account, and that is used. There is no reserve. So working again with a financial counselor, creating an individualized budget, getting rid of unnecessary bills that you may have, our average increase of savings is about $550. Participants have been able to decrease their debt of just over $4,000. And out of those 238 participants, because those are the ones that are meeting one-on-one individually with their mentor, we've really had a 93% engagement rate, which is really, really great. I'm going to take a turn and talk about our demographics. This particular slide talks about not only our ongoing efforts to create an environment that everyone feels welcome, respected, and empowered, but here at United Way, we're dedicated to fostering a space that honors diverse experiences and identities to ensure that all voices are heard and that our programs and services address unique needs of all of our participants living in the city of Virginia Beach. This data highlights our commitment to inclusivity, representing a variety of backgrounds and identities. And we just want to say that we value individuals' choice to express their identity, and we strive a sense of belonging so that everyone feels supported. I do want to highlight when we were here about 2 years ago, it was in October, we were not meeting all of the demographic and ethnic backgrounds. And I just want to highlight on this slide that we have been able to support 184 Spanish-speaking individuals. We do work with many community partners to help us do translation services, and we also have a full-time staff that is able to speak Spanish and help us out with that. So we have been able to expand our services in that, and really excited about that. The next slide, we recognize that diversity encompasses not only race and ethnicity, but also aged and lived experiences. As we move to remain dedicated to addressing the unique needs of each demographic group, I think it's important to see in this slide that in Virginia Beach, the average age of Alice is between the age of 26 and 54 years old. It's critical to represent individuals. These individuals are often in their working prime years. Despite the participation in workforce, many of these residents struggle to meet their financial needs, and they're working 2 jobs, again, living paycheck to paycheck. The average income, Mark did talk about this earlier, is generally about $31,000. I'm going to talk about that for a family of 2 in the city of Virginia Beach. And to be not at a severe rent burden, a family of 2 should be making at least $74,000 so that you are not making more than, 30% of their annual income. As costs continue to rise, including housing, healthcare, and childcare, many individuals in this group work multiple jobs. It's critical to help these residents increase their income and continue to increase their financial stability. And next, I just wanted to demonstrate that we are working with all areas of Virginia Beach, and I have highlighted in a different color the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 area. Those areas are Pungo and Sandbridge. So we have been able to extend our reach out to those areas as well. And before we continue, I would like to offer a testimonial to one of our long-term mentors, Shanita Hawkins. And I have a testimony of the support that Ms. Shanita has been able to provide through our long-term mentoring program to Sonia. So they're going to take just a few minutes of our time to talk about their journey really quick.
Welcome, both of you.
Thank you. I would like to thank for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the VB Thrive program and my experience as a mentor there. I joined the mentoring team because I understand what it takes to reinvent yourself on a regular basis, to really evaluate where you're headed with your career, with your life, with your goals, and how to really put it out and work on those things, right? So with our participants, I sit with them and I ask them, what would you like to work on? You tell me where you would like to go from here. And then we map out a plan together, and I make it a very client-centered approach for them. So then they have, so they are able to tell me how to work on their goals. I don't want to come with the answers and all the plans. I feel like they have a good self-worth, self-efficacy in order to participate actively with their own goal setting. I just really coach them on. And as a mentor, I sit with them and I coach, I celebrate with them when they reach their goals. I participate when they have shortcomings and encourage them to keep going and striving. And so I really have seen some really amazing things from my mentors. I had a mentor who told me that she didn't even know if she could have a savings or how to save. And just by setting those goals about savings, she's looking at a savings that she thought she could never do. Then I had a mentor who thought, I'm not ready to purchase a home. I'm not in a position to do so. But I set her down with a home ownership program where she can kind of talk it out. And she actually purchased a home at the end of her year. So I do see all these great things. I have mentees who return to school, they receive certifications, and when they bring those certifications, I make it a big thing. So I love to see the growth that happens along with the mentees, and this happens over a course of a year. Sometimes it takes someone 5 or 6 years to even determine if they want to return to school, and we've been able to make that turn within a year, and I think that's an amazing work. And so I have here my mentee, who I actually mentor, and she's going to share with you her experience.
Hello, guys. My name is Sonia, and I absolutely love being a part of the VB Thrive program. So first, I want to say that I have been a business owner with a business license here in Virginia Beach since 2001. My business did survive the pandemic, barely, but that was difficult for me because I'm a fashion designer. And so my business was primarily based on in-person interactions, events. So the pandemic caused me some mental things and financial things. And so through this program, I've been able to pivot, and they provided funding to help me go to school. Right now I am. One of my goals here is to complete a digital marketing program by December 1st. I'm enrolled with Duke University in their digital marketing program because we sat down and we talked about, for me, it was how can I reestablish my business and grow. And I felt that digital marketing, I have to go with the times. You know, things have changed. When I started my business, there was no Amazon Prime or social media influencers, you know. So I have to learn how to market my business in this time. So that program was funded through the VB Thrive. And so I just brought my photo with me today just to share a couple of goals that I have been able to achieve working with Ms. Hawkins. I lost my health care, and she helped me to develop a plan to get reinstated in my health care. We created a marketing plan for my business to help me to organize things. And one thing that I'll say is, sometimes you have so much going on and you don't do anything. So indecision is a decision. And so having a mentor just really helped me to get out of my head sometimes. So together we scheduled a financial counseling meeting. So I was able to meet with one of the partners they mentioned, Catholic Charities, to really look at my finances and take a hold of that. And so another goal that I didn't bring with me today, but I have been able to pay down my debt. I paid off a high interest loan and 3 credit cards since I've been working with Ms. Hawkins. Also, again, with my business, she helped me to just talk out how to restructure my business and create a sales plan to help me during this time while I am in school. And so those are just a few of the goals that I've completed working with her. The major one right now is to complete that program at Duke University. And I'm just very thankful for the program. She offers encouragement. I went through a situation, one of my goal sheets, I got somebody hit my car. I'm at work, you know, at my business, minding my own business, and someone hit my car, and I got the short end of the stick. They decided to total loss my car. So that was not just a financial thing, it was an emotional thing, you know? And so she was there with me and held space for me, not just the goals on paper, but for me as a person going through life's changes. And so it's still being resolved at this time, but she helped me to create a goal sheet around the things I needed to do to make sure my transportation was in place so I could continue to work and earn money and do life, because life is still going on, you know? So I think I'll pretty much stop there and just say that this program has really helped me to reach some goals.
Good to hear. Okay, Mike.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have a question. I just really want to compliment my friend Sonia on her outstanding, on all the entire presentation. But I think Sonia is a great emblem for the work that you do there, because I've known, as I mentioned, I've known Sonia and I've been friends for a long time. And one of the things I admire about you, Sonia, is that you really never stop taking the opportunity to learn and make your and to formally and informally. And I've watched your business, which is really interesting and vibrant. And the fact that I didn't know you were connected to VB Thrive, but I really love that you are. And it's kind of an inspiration for me too, as well, to think about what kind of positive impact we could make on our lives, by accessing the resources that we have available to us. It's a good lesson.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing your stories. We have just a couple more slides that we want to share with you, and then we're going to open it up to any questions that anybody may have. So I just wanted to highlight again on rent burden and severe rent burden. Mark talked about this very briefly at the beginning of the presentation. There's challenges that continue to arise with the increase of housing costs in the city of Virginia Beach and all around U.S. 53% of households in the city of Virginia Beach face a severe rent burden. And a severe rent burden is paying more than 30% of your annual income. 29% are in an even more severe position. That's where they're paying 50% or more of their income on rent. Nearly half of Virginia Beach households in the ages between 25 and 44 earn below $31,000 annually. The average rent in the city of Virginia Beach for a 2-bedroom apartment is currently $1,935. That would be a family of 2 earning $77,400. An average single parent generally earns $30,000 to $35,000 annually.
Thanks, Kim. So I'll wrap it up just a little bit, just talking about the future of this and where we look for this to go. And as I said earlier, I do feel, and I feel strongly, the long-term approach that is the answer for us here. And I think that's when we look at how we're building this out. You guys, the vision that this group has had, the leadership that you've shown, you've allowed us to take this, and we've scaled this into Norfolk. We're looking to move it into other places, but we have seen some of the results we've been able to experience in Norfolk, and we've been able to take it into other places. And we know that this long-term approach is something that does make amazing benefits for both the individuals that are participating, but also the community at large. So, currently we've got about just under 3.1 million left of that funding. We've got about 190 participants per month. The $1,500 is the average housing support that we do. We kind of run those numbers out. We will run out of dollars about April of 2025 if we continue at the same pace. I know the grant has been expanded with the ARPA funds through December of 2025. So, early parts of 2025, we'll be faced with, do we reduce service or do we run it out full to April and begin looking for other funding, which we're beginning to look at that as well. But just kind of wanted to share that where we are currently, we are certainly on pace to spend this down by April 2025. And very hopeful that we can find ways to continue this going forward. So with that, I will kind of flip it over. I do want to just highlight, this is not work that the United Way is doing by itself. This is a number of partners working together. And I think that's the beauty of working with community. You got public-private partnerships, a lot of nonprofits working together, for-profit companies, all working in service of the community here. So we are very proud and to be able to work with these great partners. So with that, I will turn it over. If there's any questions specifically, we're happy to answer, but really thank you very much for your time and thank you for the support.
Thanks a bunch, Mark. Any questions, concerns? Amelia.
Tanya. And she's one person that's very outgoing. You would never know until today what she's going through. So it was brave of you to come up and share your story. What I was going to ask you, and you mentioned it near the ending, that you do have private-public partners, and you also brought up that you will soon be running out. What efforts are you all doing to get grants from even larger groups like the state?
Yep. So we are actively working now to look at how do we put funding together for this. We're writing grants. We're looking at individual donors as well. I do think long-term, the sustainability of this is a multiple funding paths for this. And that's something that we definitely feel that we want to have more than just city funding, I think, for this, for long-term sustainability. There are, definitely, I think our overall vision is we would like this to be region-wide. We know that a lot of the folks that we are working with are in times it can be very transient. We have folks that may lose their housing in Virginia Beach and move to Norfolk, and we want to be able to continue holistically to work with them. So we're looking now around funding of what can we do more holistically around this entire region, knowing that the city lines are something that we definitely care about, but families that are in crisis, we want to support them as best. So we're looking at multiple ways.
Yeah, because I thought of, 4 kids, some other groups that are there, and you have some people from Norfolk move to Virginia Beach.
Exactly.
And vice versa. So it's like a round robin.
Yeah, it certainly is.
So we thank you for what you've done so far. It sounds very encouraging.
Well, thank you so much.
And look at that, consider what we can do later. Thank you.
Josh and Jennifer.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you all very, very much for your presentation.
You're my person.
Yes, I am your person.
October 19th, chili.
I will be there. And I knew I recognized you from the planning. One thing that popped out of this entire presentation were the comparative number of females served by this program, and my rough math was like 83%. And to me, that means, as somebody who was raised by a single mom, a lot of single moms. And I just want to underscore that, the importance that your work has on families of all different kinds, especially ones that are raised by single moms. It is, I know the United Way is covered in our regional grant annual, stipend. I'll maybe ask the manager, our budget director, to confirm later. But is there a portion of that you kind of funnel into this program, or is it? Do you know where the grant proceeds are allocated? I guess internally.
So I'm not exactly sure the question. Vivian McMahon is our Vice President of Community Impact, and she may have.
Can you go up to the podium, please? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Vivian McMahon, Vice President of Community Impact for United Way. Thank you all for having us here today. So money that comes in from the campaign side really depends on if there's designations or if it's unrestricted. So if there are unrestricted dollars available, we can use that to kind of shore up programs like this. But if it is designated, then we have to honor that donor's wish.
Manager and maybe budget director just get a little more clarity on that issue. But again, thank you for the work you do, and I'm looking forward to burning my tongue off again at your children.
Hey, Jennifer.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm looking at this slide. It says predictions for grant and housing support per person, $1,500. That's a subsidy for housing.
That's correct.
So we've been talking, as have other bodies, about how to address the affordable housing issue. So beyond availability of affordable housing stock, in your work, have you seen other barriers or other issues that you're finding families, whether single mothers or any kind of household issues that they're saying they're running into in terms of accessing housing that you can share?
Kim's got specific examples, I'm sure.
Yes, and what we're really finding is if they are moving from one area to another, we're finding that it's still not really affordable. And looking into the future of programming, we would like to figure out a way through grant funding to do subsidized temporary housing funding. So if someone was maybe in subsidized or Section 8 housing, and we are finding a more affordable rental, less than that 1,900 average in the city of Virginia Beach, being able to provide temporary assistance for the first 6 months to support that. Because just providing first month's rent and security deposit is not enough. So as you're in that long-term program to be able to self-sustain, if we are able to subsidize by maybe 50 or 25% of that actual rent, focus on that for the first 6 months, get them in the right financial stability area, then we can start to talk about workforce development and then hopefully increasing their income so that it is more sustainable.
So the 1,500, that's a one-time support?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mary?
I just wondered how much of this seesaw where you have them in and then out has any relations to mental health?
Yes, so I'm not sure where the slide is. We actually had a slide in our slideshow to talk about, oh, right here, the impact of multi-generational approach. So we, those of you that have known the work for the last 2.5 years, we used to utilize the bridge to self-sufficiency. The bridge has just been developed into a bullseye to self-sufficiency to identify gaps that residents may have. In your packets that were handed out, you're going to see this bullseye to self-sufficiency as well as specific indicators. Those indicators line up with the numbers on this bullseye to really help identify possibly when residents are coming into our program and where they need that help. And we are actually seeing an increase of mental health care needs and residents that don't have access to affordable health care. So we want to take a collaborative approach through care coordination and our health department here at United Way to really fine-tune those gaps and support the residents that are in those, if you pulled out those indicators, that are in those areas of social networks and social health and physical and mental health. Those people that are scoring the 2 to 4s on those indicators, help them elevate themselves by supporting them with community resources and wraparound funding if they haven't been able to get those supports.
Okay, and are you working with our Housing Resource Center? And I mean, we have some of these. I haven't heard you mention that you're working with them.
We have worked with a few of the housing community partners in Virginia Beach, particularly Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation has been a link towards finding affordable housing. I did just schedule a session to sit in the 411 that's going to be actually at the library this month to start a partnership with the city of Virginia Beach for housing.
Human Services, all of those connect. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ann. Anyone else? Michael, then Sabrina.
I have a question for Mark. You alluded to something that you and I have previously discussed, but I think it's something we need to think about, and that is their regional approach. Virginia Beach really led the way in terms of implementing a public-private partnership using CARES Act funding and ARPA funding into developing relationships with nonprofits like yours who are already providing the essential services that we needed at that time and continue to need. But I'm familiar with Virginia Beach, so I don't want to cut anyone short, but I know that we've been a leader and have made transformational investments into those nonprofit organizations. What I'm wondering is how can we facilitate an environment where, and I'm just spitballing here, but Norfolk, Portsmouth, Suffolk, the South Side, that we support an opportunity like this on a per capita basis, and then those services will be available to our entire region. And so there will be that seamless continuum that you described. But I don't know what the right way to go about that is, or if that would even be possible. But it should be more than VB Thrive. I mean, it could be something more broad.
I mean, that is certainly our vision. We care about all the people, and we think that geographic lines should not, dictate the services that individuals get, but we do adhere to the integrity of the grants. I mean, now we're just having conversations, and I think that's where we're starting, is beginning, like conversations like this, similar conversations in Norfolk and Portsmouth and Suffolk, and beginning to get advocates that see the value in this to come together and say, let's work through this together, because I don't know the answer, but I do know that just continuing to have conversations, bringing folks that care about this together to really begin brainstorming and looking for what are the right options and what are the right people, who do we need to have around the table to begin having these conversations to help us move the needle.
We have that model in terms of collaboration for the Hampton Roads Alliance, which is structured on a per capita basis, and that may be something we need to talk to our partners in the other communities about, because they do. People they change, they move, change jurisdictions, and
yeah,
we should look at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you for your report, and thank you for your testimonial. It's very inspiring. I have a two-part inquiry. The first one focuses on, since your demographics demonstrate that single mothers are certainly one of your large recipients in the program, my thought is about health, well, not healthcare, but child care. What are some of the, I guess, concerns there for the single mothers? Do we have some concerns there, what they are?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they can speak a little more, but in conversations I've had, it's availability and affordability are the two biggest issues with this. We've had very specific conversations with people, living in Virginia Beach, working in Norfolk, and trying to find childcare that aligns with, that reality. We've also got, folks that are working, second, third shifts, trying to navigate childcare that may be open from 7 in the morning until 6 in the evening, and how do you navigate those pieces? We also know that the reality is childcare for many families are, adult caregivers that are keeping folks in their home. So what do we do in those situations to ensure that they're also getting quality childcare? Because, this is a multi-generational approach. And then on the other side of this, on our education work, we are seeing a number of kids that are showing up to kindergarten not prepared to learn. And we know that, adequate, really thriving childcare can help fill that gap. So how do we connect those pieces together? So, definitely a lot of concerns, specifically availability and affordability are the two biggest.
And does this program, does it kind of work towards, I guess, connecting folks with?
I think that the biggest asset that I see to this, I mean, there's certainly some financial assets to this, but there are a lot of resources available in the community. But if you don't know where to begin looking for those resources, you may never be able to access that. So I think one of the biggest values that's bringing is, folks like Shanita are able to connect people with resources that are already available, already being paid for, and helping them find those resources. So I think that is, from my mind, one of the biggest benefits of this.
Great, I'm glad to hear that, because I know we had a presentation not too long ago about the concerns and what Virginia Beach could do more to address child care concerns within the city. The other part of the question is focused on our seniors. And so and you may have covered this, do we have seniors who are taking advantage of these programs? Because from what my understanding is, a great deal of the burden in terms of rent lies with our seniors.
So definitely, when you look at, the cost of living is different with each age demographic. When you look at the seniors, one of the biggest driving factors of that is healthcare costs. And so you see the little small sliver, the 104, the 65 plus. We are actively working in that space. Obviously, the 26 to 54 is the largest demographic there, but we are definitely working there. And I think that's the other piece to this, and I think why the mentor model works really well is because each individual coming into this program has their own unique set of challenges depending on, where they are in their life, where they are and everything. So being able to meet them where they are with their unique set of challenges is going to be very important.
Do you find that you have a great deal of seniors who apply to your program, or perhaps maybe they don't know about the services?
I'm going to let Kim answer that. I'm going to make an assumption. I'm thinking it's probably more of the better job we do of getting the word out. I think there is a lot of folks that in this community that fall into that demographic that could benefit from this program. And some of it is just the capacity of the program to be able to deliver. So there's a waiting list now for this. So we are running up against capacity. So that's part of the issue. And the biggest need and the biggest area we've got is that sort of the working folks, that working age. But I think as we are working to increase capacity, that's something that we can certainly would be able to take more on.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, anyone else? Yeah, I just want to thank you for a very insightful, once again, I think improving people's economics, as you said, the crisis that we have in homes and affordability is national. And, perhaps, would be helpful. And I know working with Hampton Roads Workforce Council, there's a plethora of training programs for trades that to get people in. I think, the shipyard is going to be looking for 5,000 more people, and they're willing to have internships that can be subsidized and things of that nature. Carpenters, electricians, and, we're desperate for these folks, and hopefully by raising the income levels for a lot of folks, it would be helpful. But thank you, and a good community is one that takes care of those in need, and you are definitely doing that for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you all for your time. We really appreciate it.
Bye-bye, Sonia.
All right, so Mr. Mayor, members of council, at a previous city council meeting, members of council asked for a presentation regarding by right development versus discretionary development. So the planning department put together a presentation using a couple examples, including Sandbridge that was previously discussed, to give council a better sense of by right versus discretionary development process.
Thank you, appreciate it. Hey, welcome, Kathy.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. So as the manager said, at your September 17th meeting, you requested a briefing to cover by right versus discretionary development. The root of whether a project can be developed by right relies on the zoning of the property. Kevin Kemp, our zoning administrator, is going to cover the difference in the types of development, as well as walk you through a few recent examples. But before I turn it over to Kevin, I did want to make you aware of some updates that the planning department has made to the land use report we send to you each month. So as you know, the planning department publishes a monthly land use report that's included in your Friday packages. Generally, it's the third Friday of the month. This report provides detail on the number of permits issued from permits and inspections, site plans approved through the Development Services Center, submitted discretionary applications for Planning Commission, as well as a summary of Planning Commission's agenda. The September edition of the report, issued this past September 20th, was in your package. That was updated to include those projects approved through DSC that were discretionary items with prior city council action. The report also has been updated to include a meeting log for meetings requested through the formal pre-submittal process and inquiries received through the development liaison team. This should provide you additional information. You know who the planning department staff is currently working with, who's inquiring about potential developments, and so on. Future iterations of the monthly land use report will continue to include these new items. And at this time, I will turn it over to Kevin for the rest of the presentation.
Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I always get excited whenever I have the chance to get up in front of a board like this and talk about zoning. It's something, I know not everyone shares my enthusiasm, but bear with me. So this afternoon, I will be giving an overview of the zoning ordinance, specifically how it relates to by right versus discretionary development. This will keep at a high level. I'll then dig down a little bit into, what it means to be by right and discretionary, and then talk about the development application process. And as Kathy said, I will end with 4 examples and walk you through that process with them. So I think every presentation about zoning has to start with the intent of the zoning ordinance. It's important to hear this. This is the core of what we do, and that is to promote and protect the health, safety, and general welfare of the people of the city by encouraging the most desirable use of the land and by encouraging the most appropriate use and occupancy of buildings. So really looking in a broader sense at that built environment and how it can best serve the citizens of the city. The zoning ordinance does this by regulating, a whole bunch of things, but here are some of the common ones: permitted uses, density, dimensional requirements, landscaping and buffering, signage, and parking requirements. Now, our zoning ordinance was, the one we used was adopted in 1988. There have been several amendments to it. It regulates 36 zoning districts, 7 overlays, and includes some complex zoning such as the form-based code. But in all the 650 plus pages of the ordinance, we can really break it down into these 7 basic elements. And those are permitted uses, the development standards, how we treat nonconformities, how we process discretionary applications, procedures for review, definitions, and the official zoning map. So now we have that ordinance as a tool. How do we incorporate it when we look at land use applications? Now, we get a variety of land use applications, but no matter how big or small they are, every application goes through these 3 steps. The first is to identify the zoning district, and this we use the official zoning map. This council actually approved an update to the official zoning map recently, so we thank you for that. But that is the first step. We use that map, we identify the zoning, then we move to step 2, which is to establish that use. We define the use on the property, and then we relate it back to the land use tables to figure out whether it is a principal use, which is by right, and this can be either the primary use of the property or an accessory use, or is it a conditional use? And these are the uses that city council that come before you for approval, and uses where site-specific conditions can be employed. So then the third step is we use the development standards to review the application. Now, I did want to mention here that for by right applications, they only need to meet the minimum requirements of the zoning ordinance. That's what we are reviewing it for. When there are additional requirements or exceptions, there's a couple ways those get handled, either through the variance process or through city council approval. So let's dig into what by right and discretionary uses really are. The first, our ordinance calls a principal use, but it's commonly referred to as by right. These are uses that are automatically allowed and are typical and desired in whatever zoning district they're in. Think single family and residential, retail and commercial, or a warehouse and industrial. These are very common uses and typical. There is no public involvement in the review of these. And again, they only have to meet the minimum standards of the ordinance. The second, conditional uses. These are discretionary applications. These are uses that may create unique or adverse impacts on the surrounding properties and therefore require additional consideration or conditions to promote the desired outcome. These are the items that come before you, and these are the items where you can impose appropriate regulations as you see fit. The third type of use are accessory uses. These are uses that are clearly incidental to the primary use. Think study groups at a church or athletic fields at a school. So now that we've talked about the difference between discretionary or by right uses and conditional, we need to look at the land use tables. And the difference between these types of uses is really the premise in which these land use tables are developed. Every use Well, let me start with every district has its own land use table where all the permitted uses in that district will be listed. Sorry. Each use is in that, so I've lost my thought process. If a use isn't identified in the table, the zoning administrator has the responsibility to make an interpretation on that use. So basically, if a use isn't clear, the zoning administrator can look at it. They can either put it into a specific category, or if it doesn't fit anywhere, make the determination that it is not permitted. So here's an example of the use table. There are two major uses. A use can either be a P, which is permitted or by right, or a C, which is conditional. You will also see X's on there. X's are the uses that are prohibited, and it's also worth mentioning that our zoning ordinance is exclusionary, which means that if a use is not listed, it is not permitted. So this sums it up in one slide. We look at the zoning map. We establish the zoning district. We refer to the land use table, and that determines the development process moving forward, which we will talk about. So both discretionary and by right developments go through an administrative review process, and that's showing the second list of items there, numbers 1 through 7. That's the administrative review. The difference is that conditional uses have a process they go through before the administrative review, and that is listed up top. The first step in the process is that the application is submitted to the planning department. The planning department processes the application, routes it to other departments where necessary. They get the comments, they review the application, they evaluate it, and they make a recommendation. The item then goes before the Planning Commission. This is an opportunity where the public can give comment. The Planning Commission reviews the application, ultimately makes a recommendation, and passes it along to this council for a decision. Again, as you know, the public has an opportunity at that stage as well to come before you, and you have the ability to impose any conditions or address what the public concerns are. So after that application is approved by you, or it is by right, it goes through a standard review process where the site plan is submitted to the Development Service Center and the building plans are submitted to the Permits and Inspections Division. These reviews can be done concurrently. Once those applications are submitted, they get assigned essentially a project manager who routes it out to other departments to review. So, traffic, public utilities, public works, and a variety of others are looking at the application. Comments come back. There is a back and forth with the applicant. Very rarely is a plan approved on first submittal. It usually takes a couple. But once we get to the point of approval, the site plan can be approved. Then we deal with post-approval conditions, such as sureties, recording easements, or plats. Once all that's taken care of, the site plan can be released, and then permits can be obtained. So let's look at the first example. This is one that should be familiar to you, as our planning director briefed you a couple weeks ago on it, and this is the Owls Creek Oyster Bar. To take you through the process I talked about, we first identified on the zoning map, which is shown here. We find that the property is zone B4. It is in the high noise zone and the AE flood zone. Looking then at that land use table for the B4, that proposed use of a restaurant is a permitted use. So it is by right. It only goes through that administrative review. So we are only looking at it to meet the minimum standards of the zoning ordinance. The second example, it's a project known as Lower 40. It's a multifamily proposal down in southern Sandbridge. In the same way, we identify the property on the zoning map first. You can see this property is a majority of water and wetlands, but it is Zone B4 mixed use district. The proposed use of multifamily dwellings, when you look at the use table, it is a permitted use. So it is by right and goes through the administrative review process. Now, the site plan is shown here. Just to give a little background, this is a proposal for a 156 unit five-story building with 300 parking spaces, 250 of which are covered, and a 2,500 square foot rooftop restaurant. When zoning looks at this plan, we are only looking at the requirements that it meets the density, parking, setbacks, height, lot coverage, and landscaping and buffering. Additionally, it will get reviewed by traffic engineering, stormwater, public utilities, and all other agencies, but we are only looking that it meets those minimum standards. Now, the third example, 525 Kempsville Apartments, is another multifamily, and it's also zoned B4. This sits at the intersection of Princess Anne and Witch Duck. It is zoned B4, but the difference in this one is it is in the Kempsville Historic District, so it takes on that classification of B4K. If you look at the use table in the B4K, multifamily housing is a conditional use. So this is one that had to come before council for approval. It did so in April of 2012. And this is the product that was received. Because it had to go through that discretionary review process, not only did staff review it, but also the Historic Kempsville Design Committee, the Planning Commission, and City Council. Throughout this whole process, there was a lot of public input, and that input and that negotiation, both with staff and with the boards and commissions, led to this product and very specific conditions on this. There is a condition site plan shown there, which capped off the development at 170 units and also regulated how much non-residential space there was. There were also proffered elevations, which you can see, or I'm saying proffered, conditioned elevations, which you can see on the left, and that dictated through this council what materials and finishes could be used, as well as the architectural style. You can see the photograph on the right of the finished product, and that it does closely mirror what was presented to you. They were also required to submit a traffic study to be reviewed by the traffic engineer to include nature trails and connectivity, specific signage, and they were even in this case required to do an archaeological survey prior to disturbing any land. So that's an example of how this project, because it had that discretionary, conditional designation, it was able to be reviewed much more thoroughly and to give those, conditions that really brought a project that this council felt met the character of the historic Kempsville area. The last example I wanted to give is just a very routine common application we get in the planning department, and that is the Panera Bread located at Lynn Haven Mall. Again, looking at the zoning map, this property is zone B2. In the B2, an eating and drinking establishment with a drive-through window. As you can imagine, it's a very common use, and it is by right. So then when we get the site plan, we will be reviewing from a zoning standpoint to ensure that it meets the parking setbacks, height, signage, landscaping, and drive-through stacking. It will be reviewed by stormwater, public utilities, and other agencies, but there is a limitation on what we can look at or regulate as far as any kind of aesthetic or anything over those minimum standards. There is also, on an application like this, no opportunity for public comment. It is all a in-house administrative review process. And so with that, I will stand by for any questions.
Okay, we got Chris and then Worth, Jennifer, Hutch, and Barbara.
Thank you, Mayor Dyer. My page is page 14. It's the Owls Creek Oyster Bar proposal. All right, so this is it B4?
Yes, that is correct.
So this restaurant is, it has a drive-through or it doesn't have a drive-through?
It does not have a drive-through. It is just an eating and drinking establishment.
So what's the difference between, I see the first one, eating and drinking establishment without drive-through windows when not freestanding and incorporated inside? Okay, so this proposal is for a freestanding restaurant.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
And that does get confusing. There are three classifications. That first one was done when we were looking at mixed use or districts where we are encouraging mixed use. The other two, the with and without drive-through, that's been the standard language since 1988.
Okay. I guess follow-up question, and maybe you could follow up, Ms. Kathy. The Thalia LLC that we just went through, did it go through this entire process? Because it's going to be first floor retail, and retail can include restaurants. If a restaurant comes in that doesn't meet this, do we go back to the drawing board, or since it's already approved, they can put whatever restaurant they want on that lower floor retail?
Well, it would not have to go back through the process. It's gone through the process to get approved what's there now, but if it's got to drive through there, it's likely not going to be approved in that case, no. And not likely it would not be, but we would review that through the site plan process.
Thank you.
Worth?
Thank you, Mayor Dyer. Thank you, Ms. Warren and Mr. Kemp, for the presentation. If you could go back to page 13 on the same Ellis Creek. So I note the listings here, zoning B4, noise zone and flood zone. To what degree is the APZ and the ACUS Navy air rights taken into consideration with by right?
That is an excellent question. With our ACUs, any use that is by right can still be developed on the property. We have Article 18, which has tables which list compatible uses in the noise zones, but those are only applicable when it is a conditional review process. When it is by right, that ACUs ordinance does not take any development rights away from the parcel. We only refer to that and use those restrictions if it's conditional use outside of residential development in the APZ1, but that doesn't relate to this application.
So, but before the builder can be granted a permit, a letter from the Navy having approval is required, I would believe. No?
It is not, no. The Navy really insists that the ordinance is our ordinance, and if it is by right, they leave it at our discretion. If it does have to go through any kind of other approval process, it would go in front of the JRP where we would review it, and there would be a letter of either recommendation for or against.
Okay, Jennifer?
Thank you, Mayor. And I appreciate this. So just to be educated on the process, and I'm actually on the city website now. So for anyone who wants to look at the codes. So if you go to the Virginia Beach City website, City Hall, then codes and ordinances. And I'm here because I was looking to see if there was any information about how these zones came to be and if and when they should change, what does that process look like? So I know like we have this conversation about land, we're running out of land and all, we have these conditional uses that we as a body have to end up approving because it isn't done administratively. So I'm just curious about, and it may be beyond the scope of what we have time for today, but that's where my mind is. What, how were these zones established? And if they were to change, if they can change, what does that process look like? I'm just curious.
And I don't want to step on Kevin here, but I do want to, we can get you more information about how it came to be and what year, and it goes back to 1988, is that correct?
Our current ordinance is 1988, but our oldest ordinances were established in 1954.
But I think this is a good opportunity to let you know, as you know, we are in the process of the update of the comprehensive plan. And likely a recommendation through the comprehensive plan is that we update our zoning ordinance. So that would be another fairly lengthy process, but it's something that we think may need some consideration by City Council.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Hutch, Barbara, and then
I think it
Josh.
was Josh, sir. I didn't have a question. Thank you. I confused hands.
Question.
Thank you very, very much for the update and the description. And I'm really glad to hear that because I know part of our strategic action plan involved comprehensive plan update, obviously, but also an update of our zoning ordinance. And I think everybody really needs to think about that. I mean, we the zoning ordinance is from 1988, you said. So our city looked tremendously different in 1988. And our zoning ordinance is geared toward greenfield development as opposed to infill and redevelopment. And as we encounter these challenging situations where you've got impacts to adjacent neighborhoods that we have to be incredibly mindful of. And we have established suburban neighborhoods that we want to retain and support their continued character. We also have environmental concerns. We have concerns along our bayfront and our coasts about just the sustainability of growth and how we we go about growing our city, but we grow it in a responsible way. So, I wanted to round out that little piece that you put in, Kathy, because it requires a lot of context around it, and I want our citizens and our community, and I see our VBCCO president here to know that we are mindful of these things, and you know, they try their best, and so do we, and you know, and one thing, and I'll get into my question. One thing that I've heard from the community is the planning process, how sometimes people kind of feel surprised by it in a lot of ways, where you've got the staff report coming to the planning commission on the Thursday before the Tuesday planning commission meeting, and you've got a very limited time for a community, you know, whose citizens, I mean, like our citizens are taking care of their kids and going to work and doing their jobs. And like, you know, they're not reading staff reports like, you know, like we are, or our planning commissioners are. So can you help address the reason why that time frame exists? And if there were any room to make changes to that, so that our citizens could become more involved, and understanding, of course, that, you know, you're going through a process with the applicant, and there's give and take to be had there, and you're not going to know until sometimes that very week in terms of what they're going to be amenable to in terms of changing to acquiesce to community demands. All of that just, it can be really confusing for our residents, and then all of a sudden they've got a planning commission hearing. There's a recommendation, you got a month to go to council, and it's kind of all over again. So can you help address that a little bit?
So I'll start, Kevin and Kathy. So I think the standards that staff follows is the items that are codified in code in terms of the timelines, you know, in terms of when the reports get prepared to go to planning commission and or go to city council in terms of when they get presented and things like that. This council, if this council desires, could put something on the front end of that requiring additional information sharing, you know, but what we currently use right now is stuff that's codified mostly in code, and Kevin and Kathy can clarify anything on that if they desire to or see the need to.
I would like to just add one comment to that. In the very beginning, I mentioned our land use report. And so at the request of council and some of our citizens, we're trying to add more information in this that the citizens can pull down and see what applications are starting to come through the process, or the developers that are asking for pre-submittal meetings. And that'll give you a lot of information far in advance of something coming into us formally.
Well, and I appreciate that very much. And one thing I'd add to that is, you know, with every, you know, action, there's equal and opposite consequences. So with more information earlier, that means more incomplete information earlier. And I think sometimes folks can, you know, might be overly concerned about something that hasn't gone through the process the entire way yet. And so I think that's a really worthwhile point to make, that you know, you've got planning commissioners, you've got city council people, you've got planning staff looking out for the requirements as they exist, and people can and should be concerned about things that are going on in their neighborhoods, but they also need to have faith in the fact that there is a process that exists, and there are people that you can reach out to and you have concerns. There are public hearings that you can attend to voice, you know, your mind on any particular thing. So I just thank you very much for what you're doing. Appreciate it.
Barbara?
Well, you mentioned the 1988 review being the last time the zoning ordinance was taken apart and examined and redone and so forth. As I remember that, it was led by a council committee appointed called the Hump Committee, which was Henley, McLennan, and Parker. And we did look at each of the zoning ordinances and go through, you know, what is allowed in each one and so forth. And I think before that, it was probably 1973 when things were changed. But when you think, and I wasn't on the council in 73, but what that involved during that time, 73 to 88, had been that time when we were just doing massive rezonings all around the city and so forth. And so that was at that time. And we look now from 1988 to now, and that's a little over 25 years, we've kind of past that time when we were doing those massive rezonings and so forth, but we're in the redevelopment phase. And I think it's this redevelopment phase that is really creating the problem here. And going back to the 73 time when these zoning categories were created, I think B4 is the one that's really the problematic one, because I think that's kind of the catch-all. Anything practically is allowed in B4. I don't even think it has a height limitation in some parts of it. But I think what happened in 1973, when they did rezone a lot of properties, they were looking at one thing or another. I've been wondering all these years how these properties way down south got zoned B4, like Punga Ferry and these properties at Sandbridge that were undeveloped. I think it was because B4 allowed marinas, and they were looking at where could you put a marina, and so they put B4. But now you've got this B4 that allows everything under the sun, particularly these mixed-use developments, which we certainly didn't even anticipate in 1973, with no height limitations, practically no density. And now some of these properties that were developed over time with this B4 zoning has B4, like this property in Sandbridge, which has never been developed really, but now it's sitting there with B4 on it, which allows everything. And so, and I think the one in SeaTac that we saw, it did allow certain restaurants and so forth, and that was okay with what was there. But now that it's going to be redeveloped, what they want to put there is really not okay with that neighborhood. And unfortunately, by these properties having these zonings that they have from how they were developed, what they want to redevelop it to may not be really consistent with the neighborhood. And so I think it's very right that we do need to look at this zoning ordinance and see over time, particularly now that we're redeveloping, what some of these zoning categories maybe are not the right thing, and we just have to redo the zoning category. But this problem with it being by right development, it can be done something else with no public comment. And that's what we're running into with these, particularly two of these four that you use as examples, the one in SeaTac and the one now at Sandbridge, that are redevelopment projects. The old B4 was okay with what was there, but now what they want to do with it is going to be presenting some problems, but the neighborhoods don't even get to comment at all. It's all done by staff. And I think it's interesting that you said all they have to do is meet the minimum requirements. And we don't get to put conditions on it like we would if it were discretionary and had to have a conditional use permit. And so I think we really do need to look at these, if there's some way that we can hurry it up as far as looking at these rezoning, because I guess as we get into these strategic growth areas, which is where we're directing people to develop, we're going to have this over and over again. Something that was okay in an old neighborhood may not be okay. I mean, you're going to be using something else, like this B4 is going from a very low level use to a mixed use 5-story building in a wrong place and everything else with no public comment and only having to meet minimum requirements. And I think that's the zoning category that's going to give us the most problem. But I think this whole issue of being by right and not allowing for comment from the neighborhood as we make these changes with our SGAs is going to be really over and over presenting problems. So I think we do need to do this. And we need to do it sooner rather than later, because I think it's going to come at us over and over and over again very, very quickly. That's just my comment, but, and
let's see, Ms. Parker's still around, but Ms. McLennan isn't, and Henley would like to have somebody else do it too, so. But we can make a good council-appointed committee that oversees it with Planning Commission, and I think of the neighborhoods as well, to really look at this.
Can I ask, thank you, because I'd like to ask a follow-up question. Can we address this in the land use comp plan that we're considering right now? Is that allowed to?
I think it would be, the comprehensive plan would simply say we need to do it, but I think it'll take a special action to do it. And I'm not sure we need to wait for the comprehensive plan to be developed to get this underway, because it's very involved to look at all of these zoning categories and take them apart and so forth. That's going to be long. And if we aren't going to be approving the comp plan until the first of the year, we're going to be a long time getting around to it. So I would really think the council could go ahead and say, this is something we need to do. And I would just suggest we do.
Amelia?
Mr. Mayor. Mark.
Okay, sorry, Mark.
Mrs. Henley's right. The comp plan is a general plan. A revitalization or reorganization of the zoning ordinance is a different and much more comprehensive and difficult process. I will point out, though, that you all do, the other applications that frequently come to you are rezonings. So you've rezoned several parcels of property just in the last several meetings. I mean, it does happen, but what you're talking about here is a comprehensive reorganization or adoption of your zoning ordinance, and that is something that takes organization and time.
Okay, Amelia?
Yes, I wanted to say thank you to both of you and for also bringing up 525 on page 17, because that was a special example. I was on council then for that with Jack Folk as the developer. And yes, because of the historic value, we had a lot of meetings going over and having all those categories. If you put that up, you can see all that went through, including even the finishes. We spent time looking so it would match that historic with Lord Dunmore and all of that. So are you all going to have many more B4Ks? That was a very unique.
It was, and I guess we are at the mercy of redevelopment in that district, because there are defined district lines to there. So, I think it is a great opportunity when a project does come forward in there, not only because, historic, but it's a very active citizens in that area, and we get good input, and I think that really drives that desire to fit in with the character, and it gets a better product.
You remember what happened at the end?
I do not.
Eagle went up there, and everything had to stop until the babies grew up enough to fly away. We had all these people coming out with binoculars to watch this. Can you imagine? Everything had to halt. Remember that? About 6 or 8 months. Yeah. But thanks for, bringing that up, and that you all are not only working with the regular rezonings, but unique ones like that, 525 can do. Thank you.
Okay, Sabrina?
I'm gonna go back to Owls Creek again, to make sure I have clarity, especially when communicating with the residents regarding this application. Or going back to the presentation that we had earlier, remember talk about the letter from the Navy. So with this zoning B4 today saying that the restaurant is permittable, and the information from the previous presentation that said the Navy submitted a letter and said that it was not. So how does that reconcile here? What
easement
first? Let me try to address that if I may. There are two separate issues here. There is one, what the city zoning ordinance permits or prohibits. And as Mr. Kemp just showed you, the city zoning ordinance for this piece of property, it's B4. the use regulations for B4 allow a standalone restaurant. But separately, there is a recorded deed of easement, which is the result of a transaction between the Navy and either the current or a prior owner of the property, where the property owner was paid money in exchange for giving up certain development rights, sort of like our agricultural reserve easement. So the Navy's letter said, we interpret our easement as prohibiting the use that you propose. That letter had nothing to do with the underlying zoning by the city. It's a completely separate real estate issue rather than a zoning issue.
And so, in talking with, the owner, well, which one prevails? How should the residents understand this project moving forward, with the Navy saying one thing and the ordinance saying something else?
Well, they have to satisfy both. So if it was in violation of our zoning ordinance, the city would not approve the plan. But it's not in violation of the city zoning ordinance, so we don't do anything other than go through the review that Mr. Kemp explained. If the property owner continues to attempt to develop and attempts to develop something that the Navy believes is incompatible with the easement, then it is the Navy's responsibility to go forward and seek an order from a court preventing that development.
Thank you for that clarification. I have another question. So as it relates to April 2014 and the construction general permit obtained from the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality to preserve stormwater design criteria. So say, for instance, someone was looking for this particular permit and they made an inquiry regarding the permit. How would that inquiry come back? Would it come back that it was based on this stormwater design criteria? Or would it come back based upon the Owls Creek restaurant obtaining such a permit?
I'll step in here for this one. For the Owls Creek restaurant, they have a construction general permit that was issued by DEQ, and it's for the entire piece of property. It's not specific to the restaurant or the use, it's just by acreage. And so they had a 2014, 2019, and their 2024 permit from DEQ.
So it is on record.
Yes.
It is on file. If anyone made an inquiry, it will come back.
Right, they could make an inquiry through DEQ, or they could make an inquiry through our Development Services Center. We have all the coverage letters in our office as well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Barbara?
Does that apply? Maybe Carrie's the one to answer. Does the city have record of all of these agreements that were made between the property owner and the Navy when they sold their easements? We don't have any, that's strictly the Navy. We don't have any way of knowing that.
Right, we would have to search land records because they're recorded documents, but we don't have an inventory of all of the Navy's easements since they're private, the city's not party to them.
So we could technically get in the middle of a rezoning, well, if we thought that it needed a rezoning, but we could be doing a rezoning and then we find out, well, no, they've got this easement with the Navy, which, and that would be up to the Navy to enforce.
That is correct, and that's the position that we've taken in the past, is that they are two separate tracks.
One thing with the rezoning is it would be discretionary, so it would go before the Joint Review Process Committee. So with a rezoning or a conditional use permit, anytime there's an incompatible use or a residential use, we'll take it to the JRP.
So the Navy would catch it at that
Yes.
point and
Yes, ma'am.
let everybody, okay, that's good to know.
Okay, Josh?
Just to follow on to that, I mean, that's a purchaser ought to, during their due diligence review, during their title search, if they're getting financing on a particular piece of property, their lender would want copies of all the exceptions and the easements of record. So, that onus is on the private party there, because they're getting into a situation where they could get down the road and they can't do what they want to do.
Okay. Okay, thank you all very much. Very informative.
All right, so Mr. Mayor, members of council, at this time, staff from our Parks and Recreation Department is going to come and give City Council an overview of a proposed plan based on the direction provided to staff from the reconciliation document that council approved as part of the budget process that was recently approved. Staff will give an overview of a proposed plan for redeveloping the ITA and also associated costs, and this will be available for council's information and discussion and guidance as it relates to any next steps council would like us to take with this.
Hey, welcome back, Michael.
Great. Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. My name is Michael Kirschman, Director of Parks and Recreation, and in just a moment, I'm going to turn this over to Chad Morris for the presentation. But I did want to just give a quick shout out. We were tasked to come up with a vision for the ITA area as part of the reconciliation letter. And over the past 4 or 5 months, Chad and his team, and a very special shout out to Babby Dunnington, one of our new planners, who really did a phenomenal job doing some research, meeting internally with other city departments to put together this vision. Now, just keep in mind that we use no consultants for this. This was all done internally, but that also means there was no engineering done, no soil testing. This is just a concept and a vision of what could go into the ITA, some of the ITA areas based on previous plans and some future considerations. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chad to go through the entire plan. Chad, take it away.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. Thanks for the opportunity to provide this briefing on the ITA plan. And Michael said it very well. And I'm sure Babby's at the office watching this presentation, and she'll probably let me know if I don't say something right according to the plan that was developed. But thanks for the opportunity. And I want to jump right in and start with the why we're tasked with developing this plan, and it stemmed from the budget reconciliation, and this is the quote from the reconciliation letter about the ITA and what we need to accomplish. And it states the city manager shall provide a report to city council by October 1st, 2024, using the interfacility traffic area and vicinity master plan as the guide. That shall include an implementation plan and estimated costs to develop the ITA and vicinity in terms of recreational uses, to enhance the existing Princess Anne Commons recreation area, and to preserve the natural areas designated in the plan. And subsequent implementation can occur as existing funds are identified and as available. So, of course, the first thing we did was start to look at the 2017 ITA plan that was adopted by City Council, and dive in and look at the areas and what consists of the ITA. And that's been overlaid on this map to the right. The bold bright line is the ITA area, with some dash white lines of other areas which are, according to the plan, are called and the vicinity that put this plan together. The master plan at that time identified 8 initiative areas: the historic Princess Anne Center, the Municipal Center, the Biotech Park, which is now called the Innovation Park, the Sports Center, which we're going to call the Princess Anne Commons Athletic Village, and the Preservation and Passive Recreation Area, the City Municipal Service Facilities, Agricultural Production, and the North Landing Park. So our focus today is on items 4 and 5, which I have highlighted here: the Princess Anne Commons Athletic Village and the Preservation and Passive Recreation Areas. And those are the areas identified on the map, highlighted with a red border. Diving into some key recommendations from the 2017 plan that we use as some of our guidance related to the Sports Center area or the Athletic Village. Of course, it's stated it's an ideal place to create a major active sports center. We have lots of existing amenities there, stemming from the Sportsplex to the Field House to the Princess Anne Athletic Complex, as some good starting bones to develop this into a major active sports recreation center type hub. Also, with the construction of the Lansdowne Road, access to those areas and sites would be enabled to build more of these athletic-type facilities and other specialized facilities to be used. The plan from 2017 also recognized the demand for sports, baseball, softball, soccer, football fields, and you also see coming up that we have included some other types of sports as our recommendation. And also the key component of keeping and protecting the Southeastern Expressway. Some of that has changed in recent years, but in the plan, we still have some of that retained, which is good. Being able to use that for access roads and parking potentially should be considered in the plan. And you'll see we've took advantage of that as well. We've also had Dominion Power use some of the Southeastern Expressway as part of their alignment for the wind energy. So we had lots of things come up between 2017 and now to take into consideration. And speaking to the preservation area and passive recreation area, what's stated is guidance from the plan. This is obviously a sensitive area, existing tree canopy. The site should be used for recreation, exploring, and education. Activities such as canoeing, kayaking, fishing, and hiking and bird watching are supported activities. Using bicycles and non-motorized vehicles or modes of transportation are encouraged in this area. Alternate modes of travel is a key component to the transportation network, and a big focus on wetland restoration, enhancing the tree canopy, and improving the quality of plant life in that area, and supporting those types of passive recreation opportunities are recommended. So that kind of became our base, our guidance for updating this area as far as the new master plan goes. Also, a quick map of where this site is located. From a city perspective, it's definitely in the center of the city, a little bit to the west, but from north or south, it's definitely in the center. Easy to access within a half-hour drive. Huge majority of the citizens can access this site within a half-hour drive. So it provides a great opportunity to build on some recreational amenities and other opportunities to be developed in this area for easy access. And also looking at it from a larger sports tourism or ecotourism perspective, seemed to be like a good way to look at this and examine this in our update. As Michael mentioned, we had 5 months to put this plan together and research and develop and create this. So I just wanted to note here kind of what our plan of attack was to get this accomplished, starting with determining what our limits were, geographically, reviewing a whole host of plans and studies, getting our internal stakeholders engaged, and experts that were close and available to work with them. We also had the opportunity to work with some of our appointed council committee chairs that relate to this area, and looking to how we're going to get this plan drafted, providing some preliminary documents and working on the master plan, and of course finalizing cost estimates and finishing up the master plan to bring us to where we are here today, presenting this plan study to you all. As far as the review of other plans and studies, we had a lot to go off of. Of course, the guiding main document is the 2017 ITA and Vicinity Master Plan. There were some other studies from Victus that looked at some of the sports and athletics type amenities that were out there as good guidance, as well as we have the active transportation plan as our guiding, active transportation network guidance for all connectivity throughout the city. And we also had plans from our neighbors in bordering areas such as economic development and innovation parks. So we wanted to review their plans and their development strategies for those areas. And also we have the comprehensive plan we looked at. I mentioned the Southeastern Parkway and Greenbelt and the Dominion Wind Energy Project all have plans and have kind of changed kind of what our opportunities and potential constraints are in developing an updated master plan. So we went and got a lot of our citywide stakeholders together, started the brainstorming, the popcorning of ideas, and this is just a quick snapshot of brainstorming and putting some blobs on a aerial and plan and start talking about what opportunities could exist in both the athletic village area and the passive and preservation area as part of these plans. And so it was, nothing was taken off the list. We just, ideas from anything to local drop-in type park amenities to full-blown, sports tourism, championship quality type athletics, which you can see here. So this was just a snapshot in time where we really, bringing ideas together and trying to put some things on paper, very loose. Same thing for the preservation and passive recreation areas. Got all of our stakeholders together and started talking about the opportunities and things that would align with the existing 2017 plan. Also in digging, we found some opportunity of existing assets that showed up. We have some ditches and informal trails that were already being used for the running community, walkers. So the aerial on the left shows some Strava data. This is data that is provided by cell phones and given up publicly who want to share that data. And you can see from the kind of the tan lines are kind of informal trails that are being used somewhat. And those are just kind of the ditch trails that are out there. So there's been some activity out there where they're taking advantage of what's already out there, as well as you can see from the purple and the pink areas. Those are the areas that are formal and designated as trails, such as the bike path on Princess Anne Road, which is to the right, and then up north on Dam Neck Road and Lansdowne Center Way, where you can see the formal trails are being highly used. But what was surprising was the amount of use that was being used on kind of the informal areas. So that was some key note to us to try to see where we can take advantage of that, and if we can see what the people are doing and how they're using the facilities, that helps us in determining our strategy for proposed opportunities. So all that brings us to the master plan. So this doesn't tell you a whole lot, but this was kind of the overall master plan. I'll go into more detail on each of these areas. So I broke it up into 4 different areas. Items 1 and 2 on the map are part of the athletic village. Items 3 and 4 are the passive recreation areas. So items 1 and 2, the athletic village west, section 1 is west of Lansdowne Road. This is where the existing Princess Anne Athletic Complex is, the Parks and Rec Administration building. So when I refer to athletic village west, that'll be that part of the site. When I talk about athletic village east, that's all east of Lansdowne Road. That's the area where we have the sportsplex, the field house, the field hockey fields, and areas, properties east of Lansdowne Road. And then when I talk about the passive recreation area south, number 3, that's the areas north of Salem Road and has that little sliver that connects to the athletic village west. And then the passive recreation area south, part 2, is section 4, and that's the areas indicated south of Salem Road and goes all the way south to connecting to the North Landing River. So of course that made it easier to dive in and kind of provide more explanation of what is being proposed in these areas. So for the Princess Anne Commons Athletic Village West, it's 220 acres. Proposed improvements to this part of the ITA and the athletic village is upgrading 4 rectangular fields to synthetic turf, adding 2 baseball or softball fields with supporting infrastructure, which would mean additional parking, restrooms, lighting. Opportunity here for a 5K practice cross-country course, utilizing some of the existing trails that have been developed there. There's a little bit of infrastructure that would need to be developed, such as ditch crossings and things like that. But it does provide a practice course, wouldn't allow like for full-blown meets and provide that opportunity. But this was the best opportunity for a quick, easy win for a 5K practice area with utilizing existing parking and a little bit of infrastructure to stand that up. Most races, cross-country races, you don't want to cross roads and things like that. So a 5K was the only thing that could be supported here and for practice use. We're showing a championship BMX racetrack and BMX trails within the wooded area there to the west. and all that supporting infrastructure, the parking, the grandstands, the lighting, tents, those types of things to hold those championship type BMX races. And then the informal BMX track within the wooded area. And also proposing a championship disc golf course within the area surrounding the Parks and Rec admin building and areas south of the large stormwater pond as an opportunity. And of course, connecting all those things with hard and soft trails, providing that connectivity and linkage. Team did a great job providing these renderings. This is what you could see at where the new proposed 2 baseball softball fields adjacent to the Princess Anne Athletic Complex softball fields, and then farther to the right is the proposed BMX racetrack and course with pump track, and then also the practice 5K course and additional walking trails and parking and infrastructure needs to develop out this idea. Also showed where we need a ditch crossing in the upper right rendering, and showing the hard trails and the compatible cross-country trail off to the right. And then the bottom shows the entrance going into the new baseball, softball field complex. Moving on to what we're calling Princess Anne Commons Athletic Village East. It's approximately 250 acres. This is where we have the existing sportsplex, field house, and field hockey areas. We have that section of the proposed Southeastern Expressway and Greenbelt there. But the proposed facilities, championship level pickleball facility, including covered courts, 21 outdoor courts, suitable parking, clubhouse, the things that the PPA would encourage that you have for them to come and provide those type of level tournaments at this type of facility. Moving on, we have a proposed championship level baseball facility and complex with the supporting infrastructure, batting cages, 12 fields, 6 for youth and 6 for adult. The training facilities, the press boxes, all those things needed to bring these high level type baseball level events to the area. And also collegiate level cross country with supporting infrastructure. I think there's a good opportunity here to share parking with the baseball complex. Felt it was very important not to add a bunch of parking for standalone facilities and find an opportunity to share some of those resources and assets. So I think there's a great opportunity to align the cross-country events and that parking with the baseball complex. So the cross-country courses has opportunity for anywhere from 1K all the way to 10K, very flexible in that. A lot of opportunity for different types of races, not just cross-country, and other types of fun runs and events, which you'll hear later when I talk about cross-country, some great opportunity. This is all set up so that you have your long straight starting distances, your width, we needed a width at the starting, and then the straight stretch at the finish line, and they all kind of come together. The starting line and finish line are at about the same area, so this worked out really well. Obviously, looking at building out the access road, we need an access road in the Southeastern Parkway Green Belt to get access to the site, so that's something that's needed. Preservation of existing trees, and most importantly, the live oak grove, and that preservation, and then the need to support new tree canopy and existing tree canopy, and I'll talk about that in a minute as well, is shown in the plan, and utilizing some of the information that we have, the existing ditches, to create some of these trails. So another quick rendering developed by the team showing the 12 baseball field complex, the shared parking, the cross-country trails, which are kind of in the bright green areas that start there and go into around the perimeter of the farm field to the right, and then around the baseball complex. And we're also creating some elevation changes for the cross-country around behind some of the baseball fields, just to create this different, unique experience. It's not just running through a farm field for the full 10K. We're starting off in a good starting point, the long stretch, moving into the farm field, into some existing tree canopy around the live oaks, around the baseball fields, and creating some elevation and some grade change to really make this a unique cross-country event experience. Moving on to the preservation passive area, which is South Part 1, which is actually the areas north of Salem Road. This is more low-key passive recreation, so the idea here is provide a parking area and supporting infrastructure such as restrooms, shelters at a trailhead off of Salem Road, and then to create separated mountain bike trails and nature trails, significant distance, really create that kind of a day experience is what we're trying to accomplish here. And have that connection to the athletic village so it all ties in, all connects, which is very important. And then really keying in on the preservation and conservation and enhancing the existing tree canopy in this area. And we didn't have time to put a rendering together for that one. But moving on to the preservation and passive recreation area South Part 2, which is south of Salem Road, connecting to the North Landing River, 680 acres. We're showing a proposed water access kayak launch off of Indian River Road to get access to the water, which will be a really neat experience, and I'll talk about that more shortly. Continuing on with the separated mountain bike and nature trails, creating an elevated boardwalk system. As we get farther south, we get into more and more wetlands, so we want to be protective of that, but also provide access and opportunity to, for education and exploration of these areas. And then continuing on with the preservation and conservation and enhancement of tree canopy. So I mentioned connectivity and tree planting a lot. That's one of the main goals that we were to kind of look at and explore. From a master plan of this size, it's difficult to pinpoint specific spots, especially for tree planting, where things should go. But as we get more and more refined into the plan, as things develop further, it becomes easier to determine some of these details. So I thought it was best to, from a trail perspective and a tree planting and tree preservation perspective, to list out some goals that could be accomplished through this plan and the responsible development of this plan. For the trail goals, paving, having 4 miles of paved trails and 32 miles as soft trails. Of course, that's a minimum. We think those could be stretched out into a little bit more, but just kind of a good goal. Having 36 miles of trails out there would be just amazing for usage and connectivity. Also, from the tree preservation and tree planting goals, providing an additional 20 acres of new tree canopy is a goal of adding 20 more acres of tree canopy, preserving over 90% of the existing tree canopy on site in both of those areas, both the athletic village and the preservation area. And then any trees that were removed through development will be mitigated on site. So this is kind of good goals to have in a responsible way to protect the tree canopy and enhance the tree canopy in this plan. So the big question is, what is the value of all this? And keep in mind, this estimated value is based off kind of the Go Big plan. These are the sports tourism amenities, fitting these into the plan and having the space available to do that and promote these big items from a sports tourism potential and ecotourism perspective. So obviously this is kind of the big dollar, the ceiling, and I broke it up into the different components, items, sections 1, 2, 3, and 4, the athletic village west, the east, and the preservation areas part 1 and part 2. Keeping in mind that all this is very flexible, it's plug and play. Some of these amenities may want to be swapped out with something else. And then, of course, how do you kind of phase this and start small? And then I would also mention, all these amenities have value. Also, don't want to forget or discount the value of keeping the existing tree canopy and protecting, those environmental sensitive areas that this plan does provide. We have Kevin Chatelier here, but this is just a high level. Obviously funding a plan of this magnitude does, if you're trying to utilize existing dedicated funding sources, it kind of doesn't quite work out that easy. It's a major lift. If it was a debt service payment of $16 million a year to pull this off, it was obviously not really feasible. We understand that. The goal was for us to develop this plan and see how how it could be developed as funding, permits, and really start looking at, where are our partnership opportunities. The key is that we have this plan in place. This is a starting point. And as you kind of see, well, what the intent and what council would like to see be developed in this area, as far as, sports and athletics and tourism, and just build upon the 2017 plan. This is what this plan does. And so realizing, this is a big animal, and to know you just got to start small, obviously, and look at what opportunities we can just to, and know from the long-term perspective, it's just going to take some time. But, realizing here, dedicated funding sources are not the answer to pull this off. Also identifying as you build out a facility this large, 1,600 acres, there's will be ongoing operating expenses to go with some of these amenities, especially your on-the-ground drop-in use type, trails and restrooms, and some fields that are more operated for the local, drop-in use. And there's other facilities, of course, that could potentially be operated and maintained by a private operator, but there are some that are obviously don't fit that bucket, fit in that category. So, a build out, once the plan's built out, we would anticipate, about a $900,000 a year of operations and maintenance of the 1,600 acres, minus those areas that would be potentially privately operated and maintained. Talk briefly, real briefly, about sports tourism aspect, starting with the baseball stuff. And thanks to Convention and Visitors Bureau for providing some of this information. So we wanted to make sure, as we were laying out these facilities on the plan, that they fit. Does it meet the goals of these national organizations, whether it's for baseball or pickleball or BMX? We don't want to fall short on not having enough land area to provide the amenities that would promote these larger events coming to the area. So for baseball, good news is with baseball, we do have some information from a Victus study talking about that. And there's a couple of different operating models that could be done. It could be a 12-field model, a 9-field model. We're showing on the plan a 12-field model. But just to reiterate, obviously, this provides flexibility to the plan, and whatever opportunities may come or have the opportunity from an interested party to come, there's multiple ways to kind of pull this off. Also, going forward and talking about BMX and pickleball, these are just some information that we use to help us put these items on the plan, make sure that they fit, make sure they work with adjacent other amenities. And some of these we're able to get some participation numbers, but I'm not that person. I'm a Parks and Rec person, so this is I'm just providing very high level type information. We'll obviously recommend that a study be done to validate or verify some of the true returns and opportunities with this type of sports tourism opportunity. Same thing for disc golf and cross country. Here's kind of just an overview of what the opportunities are by these professional organizations. I do want to spend a little bit of time talking about cross country, because we had some great conversations with the racing community, and an opportunity for cross country, even from high school level, even lower than that, all the way up to the collegiate level. And we had some great conversations with that for the cross country. One, the cross country facility could be a home venue for a lot of high schools and colleges in the area, because none of them have a home course. And talking with Virginia Wesleyan and their coaches, this year alone, they have to travel away. They have no home courses, so it has a strain on their athletics budget, as they got to travel every time to go to an away course. Having a home course that they could become familiar with helps them, know a course. It helps for their recruiting, and does a lot of great things there. And also, creating these types of amenities all together as this main, sports tourism type hub area, an ecotourism hub area, really hopefully keeps some of our locals in town as they graduate and move on. That they hopefully we can retain some of those people that will really love to explore and partake of these types of amenities. And from an ecotourism perspective, the mountain bike trails, we've been, very successful with low-hanging fruit from the Marshview mountain bike trails. This would definitely expand on that and provide similar experiences in the ITA area, soft trails for walking, hiking, exploring, education, and then the water trails, specifically creating that network along the North Landing River with kayak launches starting at the ITA, potentially building one at the North Landing Park property, and then one kayak launch that we're already going to be constructing shortly at Pungo Ferry Landing Park, and then the kayak launch that we already have at Munden Point Park really creates this day trip opportunity to explore the North Landing River. So all these mountain biking, soft trails, water trails, become potentially an opportunity for families to come experience, have a tournament at one of these athletic facilities, and maybe they want to stay an extra day and go explore some of these other things. So hopefully it's encouraging, an extra day to stay in Virginia Beach. So of course, how to get this done is the challenge, of course, being this big, large of an idea. Obviously, I put some ideas here to kind of how to start slow, short term, medium term, and long term. Starting from short term, what's available now potentially, or pretty easy to implement. There's the tree planting opportunities. There's some money available already to plant trees, and we could use some of that and start, thinking areas on the Athletic Village West, where the Princess Anne Athletic Complex is. There's areas where we know are not going to be developed on the fringes that could be planted with trees, start that tree canopy going. Also, for the disc golf course area, there's farm field there that's could be planted trees. If you plan out the disc golf course and plant the trees in that area, you can start to get those trees established and get ready for the disc golf course. Designing and building out the 5K practice course is a pretty easy task at low cost. Potentially activating and maintaining those existing trails, ad hoc trails that's on the east side in the athletic village, and making sure that those are open and safe to use, and so that those continue to be more formalized for running and walking. Also in the short term, recommending a economic feasibility study on the sports tourism and the ecotourism type aspects, and looking at this holistically as a mega hub for sports tourism and ecotourism, potentially seeing what other types of sports are out there, whether it's lacrosse, rugby, cricket, those types of things. And then from the medium term to long term, start building out some of the infrastructure, same as you would get sites kind of site ready. Building that infrastructure, such as the access road, so that you have access to the potential baseball complex, the cross-country courses, and the pickleball areas. Building that road, looking at some minimal parking, just so you can start to activate those spaces easily. And then looking from a stormwater perspective, looking at regional stormwater facilities and have that infrastructure kind of built and queued in and ready to go. So this, as the right opportunity arises, you can jump right in and make that transition a little bit easier on a potential developer. And then start looking at whether entertaining or issuing RFPs for those types of sports tourism amenities, kind of test the market, see what's out there, see what opportunities exist. And then going into the long term, start building in and plugging in the other elements that are more drop-in, less more park-related type amenities, the bikeways and trails, the kayak launches, and those types of things. And then finish it off with finishing the additional tree canopy and meeting those goals from the tree connectivity and the connectivity standpoint. And as I mentioned, this plan is very flexible. This was, done in-house and within 5 months. And so I just wanted to kind of list some next steps or considerations for council before I finish. I know this was intended to be done for the CIP retreat and CIP FY26 budget discussion topics as a budget discussion topic, and potentially looking at a feasibility economic impact study for this, and then public comment and feedback would be probably good to have, and then start looking at the plan in small incremental steps and seeing how a short-term, midterm, long-term strategy kind of works. And there's no pun intended that this is the start and finish line of the cross-country course on kind of how we would go forward with things, but this is just a concept of the cross-country course. So with that, that's a lot of stuff there, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Yeah, I think we got a marathon, not a sprint. Here we go. Barbara?
Chad and Michael, all I can say is wow. I mean, you did far in excess of what I ever thought you could come up with when I just asked for a map and what could we do there. You have really done a tremendous job, and I think that those first comments that we don't have any consultants involved in this is our staff coming up with this. You could not have done any better. You've really done a great job. But what you've really done is proven what I have felt for a long time now, and that is that this area, the ITA, is a jewel for the city of Virginia Beach, and it has opportunities that are so excessive to do so many things. It's a win-win-win-win all the way around. And I guess we really need to thank the BRAC for making certain that we didn't just move forward and develop this as a bunch of residential that was then going to be flooding. Thank goodness they stopped all that, made this the ITA, in a facility traffic area. You've got to keep it with no residential. Nobody can be sleeping there because we can't have noise from those jets flying between Oceana and Fentress. And so that's why we did these ITA plans after the BRAC. The first one was done in 2010, simply saying, okay, these people have all this land now and what can they do with it? This is a plan to say, what can you do, not what can't you do? But then the BRAC also allowed us to have the $15 million we had to spend buying property every year, not only be for property in the accident potential zone, but also property in the ITA. So lo and behold, we bought a lot of this land in the ITA from willing sellers who said, okay, the city's going to buy my land, please do. And then, so now the city owns this land, not all of it, but we own a heck of a lot of it. That's what you have in this plan is city-owned property. There's still a lot of property owned, but this is city-owned property that we bought because of the BRAC. And I think it's important that everybody realizes this isn't something way down south. This is smack in the middle of the city, just directly west of where we sit. So it's in the middle of the city. And as you started out, it's within 20 or 30 minutes of everybody in the city. So when we're doing all of these things here, we're doing things that are going to be so easily accessible by all of our citizens. And when you have listed all of these things that can be there, that will serve our citizens, our families, our youth, with all of this opportunity for recreation, active and passive, plus be a great economic source for sports tourism. I mean, what more could you ask for? And it goes back, I guess, to the late 90s when we first purchased that Lake Ridge property. And the council decided that we would develop villages. We would have an educational village, a healthcare village, and an athletic village. And that's how we started out. And we really did, we've done well. Look at what we've got in the educational village. We've got the higher education, and then we've got the Lansdowne schools and so forth. And then in our healthcare, it came up with the Princess Anne, all the Centera complex. We've got LifeNet and all those things there. And we started the athletic village. And we've built the field house, the sportsplex, a lot of ball fields and so forth. But then we've got all of this other that we purchased with the ITA that now we own. And this wonderful plan tells us how we can use it. And we've also, since we bought this, found out how environmentally sensitive the area is. It's poorly drained soil, high water table. So that's why they say you need to stick with active and passive recreation transitioning to agriculture, because that's what's suitable for the land. So what you have done here is really shown what a jewel we have got with this property that when the BRAC first said you can't do but so much with it, we thought was wasted land. And look at all these opportunities we've got. And when you say that we could be building 36 miles of trails in that area, trails that are all kinds of trails for all kinds of users, and all of the other things that we can do here. And the thing is, this of course is not a firm plan. Doesn't say this is exactly what's got to be there, but we're putting this out now for comment. And I'm really delighted that so many of our advisory groups have been following this, and I hope we're going to be getting some comments from our advisory groups, as well as other groups in the city. Certainly our hoteliers, I want to hear from them. I want to hear from RAC. I want to hear from the industry aspect of this, because it's not only great for our citizens who live here, and all you've got to do is go down on a weekend and look at all the families that are at the sportsplex or at the hockey center, at the soccer, and you see how active this area is. And I think the interest of our higher education with Virginia Wesleyan and their cross country is also fantastic. And so many angles of this have come to light within this 5 months. And I hope now we're going to be hearing from them. And I think it's really, really neat that this is at the same time that we're renewing the contract for the sportsplex and the hockey center. And we've been getting these wonderful emails from all of these organizations that have been sending us a word about how great the sportsplex is and how what a good job the operator has been doing. And all of these groups that have been sending us these emails these past few days have really told us what a wonderful thing and opportunity we've got with sports tourism and all of these sports activities that just go on. And you have just really done a great job. And I hope now that what we will hear from is the public and our advisory groups telling us what our next steps should be. And that this will be something that we really can revisit with the comprehensive plan, with the budget this year. And yes, all of this is going to take several years to ever accomplish, but we're showing the opportunities. And then I think we're going to be hearing from the private sector who would like to participate. But we're telling them, we've got this land and this is available. And if you would like to participate, come see us, come talk to us. But we can be doing the backbone of the infrastructure, the things that I think Chad did a wonderful job of saying what our next steps should be. And once we've put this plan out, we can apply for grants, we can show it to the private sector and see what their interest is, and it can be a great starting point. But I just can't thank you enough for doing such a great job. And you've got a great staff over there, Michael. And I look forward to hearing back now from the public and what they think of all this. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, and then Amelia.
Thank you, Mayor Dyer, Michael, Fred, staff. Thank you. Very thorough. Thank you for this report. It lays out a vision of what is possible based on the guidance that you received. So first, I want to thank you for actually doing what we asked you to do, which was to provide a report that included the implementation. I have estimated cost and investment versus value. Those are kind of two different words, but it's value can't be extracted until we actually pony up the money. And then also providing an implementation plan based on funding. So that's just my kudos. Thank you for this. I know it's not going to happen overnight because we have so many priorities in our city. But just some observations, because I think Councilmember Henley brought up some good points in terms of the stakeholders and private industries and the RAC. But what we really do need to hear from and have a plan on is how we're going to communicate to the communities and the largest stakeholder in our city, which you've heard me say, which is the taxpayers. Because when I look at this magnificent, phenomenal vision, what I see is either real estate taxes going up or we raising the tax rate. There's no way that I see sitting around the table that we can continue to be as aspirational as we are while ignoring existing priorities, which include the aquarium, the sports center, the convention center, the VB Memorial Overcost, and Atlantic Park. And so we've yet to see any of these projects come out of the ground and produce a penny, yet we continue to add ideas, and that is not stewardship of resources. One thing that stuck out, and I want to commend you because it's kind of like deja vu. I wasn't on the council when Rudy happened, but I heard there was so much public input. And when I talked to residents about the Rudy Loop design, and you've heard me say this, they thought because it was done internally, Parks and Rec, that we were actually going to do it internally. And we are not doing it internally. And so when I see this, one thing that pops out is I hope you all can use whichever design team that you're quoting here, because Rudy Loop is an 8-acre parcel, and we're looking at a $4 to $6 million design. Yet you're telling us, and I know we're clear, these are just projections, but you're telling us that we're able to design. I just want to make sure I get this right. Hundreds of acres. Hold on, sorry. The first Athletic Village West is 220 acres, and we're able to design that for $3.5 million. I mean, we need that design team to get down to Rudy Loop. We have Athletic Village East, 250 acres, preservation, live oaks, utilizing ditch maintenance, 8 acres, $4 to $6 million, 250 acres here, 8.3 million. Again, bring them in tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so these are some things that I don't want the public to get the same feeling they got last time, where they see this really great presentation, these ideas, which I think many of them we should try to do. But my number that I have here, based on what we've seen in the past with inflation, because we don't want to get into the conversation where we go down the road and then we have the manager, telling us inflation. Your 160 million really needs to be 200 million if we add in that 0.30, and that's estimated cost, not value. And then we really have to do a good job explaining, and Barbara, you really made some good points, but with this type of annual debt increase, and a penny is almost $8 million with school modernization, I mean, I have to hear clearly from the public that they're going to be willing to either continue to receive 30% increases on their homes, or the 2 cents that we gave them last year, we're going to turn around and bump it up 4 cents. And so without having those understandings, this is phenomenal. This is great. I look at it as something that is clearly aspirational, but I need to see some numbers, hopefully tied to BMX, tied to some of these things we don't have that are going to show, what it's going to return to the general fund or to the taxpayer outside of heads and beds. I know I'll probably get crucified for that, but heads and beds is not the only variable, and we need to know the return from the operator, because here we are looking at the sports center, we're Invictus, or they told us, again, go this direction, we went another direction. A few years later, now we're bailing out the operator for $6 million. How many BMX operators are there out there? When I was a kid, we just went into the hills on London Bridge or Little Neck Road and just rode bikes on hills. So I don't know how many people are out there that actually operate BMX parks, and are they making $1? If they're not, I'd love to know going in that we can express that to the public. We're going to build you a BMX park, but it will not make $1. Versus what we've been doing is kind of saying, this is great, this is humongous ROI for heads and beds, yet the taxpayers at the end of the day are going to have to fund this. And there's a lot of people, as we heard today from VB Thrive, that are about like 70% of our households are making 31 grand. So how do we kind of balance that? But they're phenomenal ideas. They're all, I think, opportunities for us. But I'm looking forward to hoping to hear more about how we pay for it. Thank you.
If I could just say one quick thing on design costs, just for the public's information and for general education. So you are correct. We have no idea what a project of this size and scope would cost to design until such time as council says, let's build this out, let's get into it. What we do really is we estimate what those assets would cost to build, and design is a percentage of that construction cost. So acreage does not play a factor into design cost. Budget on the capital construction is what plays a part in the design cost. So when you look at Rudy Loop, it's much smaller acreage, but a parking deck, a lot more infrastructure, got to stand up to the ocean, to the elements at the ocean front. A park of that magnitude there is very different than lots of open space. The design for the first phase of this in part one, because PAC is already 90% built out, not a lot of design cost to add amenities to that smaller. So that's just a comment on design and where that comes from. It's just a percentage of overall construction costs. But I also wanted to mention one thing too. You talked about it's not just about heads in bed. And I would just reiterate that that's certainly true for this area. You know, PAC is a great example of an amenity that is both for tourism. We have a large senior softball tournament starting this week and we have teams from all over the country there. But the PAC is also used, as well as the Sportsplex and the Fieldhouse, majority of the time by local residents, our local teams, our local kids. And so there is value over and above just tourism, which is important in terms of revenue recapture and bringing money back in. But these are also valuable assets to our local community who prizes and cherishes local athletic events, running, biking, kayaking, and all the things they could do in this facility. So this whole area would be for both tourists and our local users. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go Amelia, Barbara, Michael, and Josh.
Well, thank you, both of you. I think this deserves a round of applause for the work you have done. As I listened to all that you mentioned, the sports tourism, the ecotourism, this is very diverse. I was shocked when I went along in District 4, right near the old golf course by the Outlet Mall. All of the people trying to find trails using their BMX, and there were women, African-American women, and other groups. So this actually reaches out across the board for diversity in this. I was shocked. But this gives them an opportunity, not only from the oceanfront, but coming over to another area and enjoying the amenities there. So I like the way you went small cost, medium cost, large cost. So this way we have, you know, like the old African saying, you eat an elephant one bite at a time. And that's it. So if we can look at this, look at the budget 26, let's look at this with the glass half full instead of the glass half empty. Thank you.
Okay, Barbara.
Well, I don't say anything after what Amelia just said because you got it. I mean, we're not saying this is something we want to put there to be built right now, but this is a major concept to start the discussion, and so I don't want people to get scared off at the thought that, oh, we're going to make a plan to build all this stuff right now. This is what could be, and the opportunities that are here. And I think with this kind of presentation, I'm hoping what it will do is just spur a lot of more discussion and some excitement for the opportunities from all kinds of people. So I certainly don't want anybody to think that we're going to be raising taxes to build this. That's just not in the discussion right now.
Okay, Michael, and then Josh.
Thank you. Well, just on a comment about paying for it, and I'm aware, I've done a little bit of studying, particularly around BMX, as you all know. And I think that, I mean, I see one revenue stream to support a project like this would be that the additional sports tourism capacity that's created will help to support the funds that are used to construct it. So you're creating additional capacity, and I think that having that type of vision aligns with the vision that you shared here, is that we have new opportunities in Virginia Beach that are unique to us, particularly around sports tourism like BMX, skating, and maybe some other ones that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. And so I think we would have an opportunity based on the new spending that would come to Virginia Beach to help support the construction and operation of a facility like that. And it would also be available to locals, and could place us on the map as a location where we already are, where these types of sports really thrive here. And so I think that's one great opportunity we have before us. But what I'm curious about is how to pay for the maintenance. Because we have a problem in Virginia Beach, historical problem of having great vision, and I'm not going to name them, we all know what they are, having a great vision and creating organizations and facilities, and then we hear continuously from the facilities that they're underserviced in their maintenance. And I don't like being in the position of having to be a doubter or to not be seen as not supportive of a mission that's very worthy of support by asking those simple and responsible questions about how do we continue to support that asset. And I don't want the person who's sitting in this chair in 50 years or 30 years to have to be answering those questions the way that I've had to answer them as a council member. And all credit to those who came before us, for having great vision. But part of having great vision is having the vision to also recognize that it needs continued support and create a plan to provide that continued support. That's an excellent vision. And I'd like us to have that excellent vision here at this table as we contemplate big projects like this. And I hope we can.
Okay, Josh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chad, Michael. Great presentation. Thank you for the diligent and beautiful work you've done, you and your staff. And, I go back to your page 27 of this plan implementation. These are low-hanging fruit, the short-term, low-cost, near-term items. And these are things we probably ought to be doing anyway. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, we know the value of trees and what they do for absorbing water and increasing our air quality. We know we've lost tree canopy in the city, and so these first couple of things, in particular the 5K practice course, are already running out there. So those are low cost items where you can make it safer, bridging over some of the ditches that exist out there, utilizing a lot of the assets that are already there in place already. And then hopefully, I mean, these ad hoc temporary cross-country trails could spark some interest in Virginia Wesleyan and our high schools in Regent, who I think they just announced like a historic investment in sports at that school. So there's a lot of potential there, even just with the near term low cost measures. But the most important one, and I mean, what's been said around the table already in terms of the, just evaluating properly the economic feasibility, the potential return on some of these more higher dollar elements of this plan, I think really need to be, and potentially evaluating, private partners to come in and help build them and operate them potentially. But and that goes to Councilman Berlucci's point in terms of how we're going to pay for something like this over the long term. I think there's a lot of potential here. I really, in the back of my mind, I've got your parks needs analysis, and the needs that exist, all over our city for undeveloped and underdeveloped parks. I've got rec center modernization floating in my head and buildings that, are in really, really bad shape. And I think that to Councilman Taylor's and other people around the table who've mentioned the importance of community engagement and dialogue around what those priorities really need to be. I think we really need to figure that out, because we've only got a finite amount of resources, and if we can accomplish some of this with the short-term low cost, evaluate what's next, or what could be next in terms of what ROI could be, what the investment is, and then kind of hold those up against the other priorities that exist around our city. We have a lot of them. But we know that our residents prioritize outdoor amenities. We know our residents prioritize parks and recreational activities. We know we've got a gold medal winning, Parks and Rec department. So, and we've got, Green Ribbon Committee, ITA, TA Advisory Committee, Open Space Advisory Committee, all these folks working together. And I think that's exactly, to your point, Ms. Cummings, what we really need to be seeing is just us we together on this. So, thank you.
Okay, Hutch, and then Mark.
Yeah, I'll be brief. So the Strava data that you're showing, I'm proud to say I'm a part of that. Been riding from Woodstock down to the courthouse and through the loop up here for 10 years. And so I appreciate that part, looking at it. But I do get joked about my mountain biking skills, but I do that quite a bit as well. And one of the things that I would say is kind of like we've said here is the low-hanging fruit is we don't need much from the mountain biking community of much work and keep maintenance. You showed Indian River Park. I ride there usually every Tuesday morning before we come here. Is that you're basically just cutting some trees and then letting us do the ride in between. There's not a whole lot more to it. So my point is when we're talking about stuff that you can do, it helps the local community anyway to ride. And there are some minority groups and women that are starting the bike clubs, mountain bike clubs. And then lastly, I thought I saw, and I don't want to look for it because I know we need to be done, is the RV park. Did I see something on there maybe about an RV park? Here, let me just finish. I'm putting in a plug for something along those lines because Pocahontas Pocahontas State Park outside of Henrico is a fantastic place that is attached. And that will bring in folks to do that type of what I'm talking about, mountain biking. I've done it many times. You go and camp and mountain bike for a couple of days. There's a pool, there's other things, but I'm just saying it's something to maybe think about that could assist with that. If that's not okay, that's fine. But the mountain bike, I think cutting those trails is not that expensive, and you get a return on your investment.
Yeah, touch base real quick on the RV park. We had that in there as part of for the BMX track. A lot of people come in their RVs, their toy haulers, whatever.
Yeah.
Camp there. Exactly. And then they're right at their event space. With the ITA guidelines and restrictions, you're not allowed to offer overnight stays. So,
But you do have the new hotel that is just outside
right.
of the area.
Yes.
So again, that's something that I think you could get folks coming from a little further out to go mountain bike. It's quite the community.
Yes.
It worked.
Thank you, Mayor Dyer. Thank you, Chad, Michael, for the presentation. And I agree with everything what everyone's saying. It's aspirational. It's a beautiful plan, and it's a lot of acreage. It's almost, but the whole ITA area is 3,000 acres, so it's about half of it, or about. So very aspirational, very costly, of course. But I remind everybody that Rotary Loop, I think, started about 30 years ago, and Atlantic Park was where the dome was also started about 30 years ago. So it takes time. And we do need public engagement, and yes, the private sector can maybe come along as well. So I think this is a great start, but we've got a lot of other priorities: stormwater referendum, bond referendum, schools, public safety, a lot of other things, modernization of our current recreation center. But let's put it on the menu, and let's hear from the public.
Okay, thank you all. What I really like it's really spreading all over the city about what we're doing. This is in a very, central part of the city, but also, I can refer to District 3, a couple things going on there. We talked years ago about, the Bow Creek Golf Course being reconverted into a tremendous amenity, and it's in progress right now. And then also Michael Belushi's, a vision for, and think about Mount Trashmore. But I remember, Michael, I think it was a couple of years ago, we dedicated a bike trail and path right off Norfolk Avenue in the middle of a neighborhood. That it was 5 miles? 5 Mile Park, right in the middle of a neighborhood that we acquired, I think, from the Navy. So, good things here, positivity, good stuff.
So, Mr. Mayor, just to round it out, is council wanting us to move forward with anything on this at this time, or does council want us to kind of maybe look at the short-term, low-cost options and bring back something for you all to think about as part of the overall budget process.
Should we look at the low-hanging fruit right now, just at least, let's take the first step. Anybody disagree? Okay.
Like the elephant.
You got it. All right, thank you.
All right, so Mr. Mayor, members of council, at this time, the next presentation will be given by Brent McKenzie, the Legislative Affairs Director. And as council knows, starting in January, we're going to start kicking off the General Assembly session. And Brent is going to give you the draft legislative package for council's review and consideration. Again, this is just an initial briefing to introduce the draft proposed items to you all. It's not something that's poured in concrete at this time. So this is more or less for council's information and any initial feedback or guidance that you all may have to offer us along the way.
Okay, thank you.
Well, good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of council, Mr. City Manager, and Mr. City Attorney. Thank you for the opportunity to present the city's draft legislative agenda for the 2025 General Assembly session to you today. I'm joined here by my friend and colleague, Andrew Damon, and I'm also joined by my friend and our consultant, Vice President at Two Capitals Consulting, Ed Reed. So as part of today's presentation, we will go through the timeline for the agenda process, provide some background on the 2025 General Assembly session, and walk through the draft agenda. At the conclusion of today's presentation, we'll be looking for some guidance on any initial issues that you guys would like to see added, changed, or removed, and any guidance you may have on a proposal that we have for a legislative reception, very similar to the one that we did last year. So you'll likely remember around this time last year, the council adopted a new policy for the draft legislative agenda. Few key items that I just want to highlight there for you as a reminder. To get an item added to the draft legislative agenda, it takes a proposal by the mayor, a proposal by at least 3 members of the council, or proposed by a city department and approved by the city manager. This mirrors exactly the same process as adding an agenda item to one of your city council meetings. Also, as a reminder, for a legislative agenda item to be approved and included as part of the final package, it takes a 2/3 majority for approval, and for charter amendments, it takes 3/4 majority for approval. So this is our proposed timeline for adoption this year. Today is obviously October 1st, and we're presenting the draft legislative agenda. On October 15th, we are proposing to hold a public hearing for both the legislative agenda and any proposed changes to the city charter. On October 22nd, I'll come back for you during the workshop for any feedback and guidance y'all may have based off of the public hearings that we heard. And then at the next city council meeting, which is on November 12th, because there is no council meeting on November 5th, the package will be up for adoption. Once the package is adopted, Andrew and I will go to work to get our delegation to patron different pieces of the package and get the bills introduced. You guys likely saw that earlier this week, we had an advertisement for the October 15th public hearing for the charter change. We accidentally had a typo in there and it said October 15th, 2023. It's obviously supposed to be October 15th, 2024. It was just a typo that I didn't catch, and I apologize for that mistake. But to make up for that, we will, we're going to edit the second run of that ad and hold a public hearing on October 15th. And then we're going to rerun a series of ads and hold a second public hearing on November 12th. This will ensure that we are following all the proper protocols and make sure that everybody's voice has an opportunity to be heard. So we're hopeful that that will solve the issue. So again, I apologize for that mistake. So the 2025 General Assembly session will begin on January 8th. It's an odd numbered year, so that is a up to 45-day session, what we call the short session. It's technically a non-budget year. They will spend quite a bit of time amending the existing biannual budget. Governor will introduce his amendments to that budget in December. Like every year in Virginia, 2025 is an election year. All 3 statewide offices will be up for election, along with all 100 members of the Virginia House of Delegates. Luckily for the state Senate, they are not up for election. So this year, we're proposing a new section to add to the legislative agenda. We're titling this Policy Priorities. This section provides an opportunity to better communicate the city's priorities to the General Assembly. These priorities were developed by utilizing the council's focused action plan, looking at major issues during the past General Assembly session, and then looking forward to what we think we're going to see in the upcoming General Assembly session. We're proposing 9 issue areas for this section. There's quite a bit here. I'm not going to read through every single word of these, but I do want to highlight certain portions of each one. So our first proposed policy area is in affordable housing. These are in alphabetical order, not in a priority order. But one of the things we want to highlight here is a theme that you're going to see run throughout these policy priorities, in that we're requesting the ability to retain control of local land use decisions at the local level. In addition to that, here you'll see an item that was specifically included in our focused action plan, where we are supporting the creation of a constitutional amendment that gives localities at their discretion the ability to create tax abatement programs to support affordable housing projects. Second area is in economic development. Here we are proposing to support local and regional efforts to attract and retain talent that will support the growing workforce needs of Hampton Roads. We believe that there's going to be a large regional effort around this topic, and we're looking forward to supporting that. We are also proposing to support policy initiatives that will provide funding, incentives, and policy flexibility that aligns with the city's economic growth strategy for redevelopment and revitalization. Next policy area is in education. Here we are proposing to support efforts to increase state funding for education and school modernization. As you likely remember, there was a JLARC study that came out earlier this year studying Virginia's K-12 education funding formulas and model, found that the Commonwealth is underfunding education as compared to our neighboring states. So we'd like to see them invest extra to catch up, so make sure that we're competitive. Fourth policy area is in energy. Here again, you see what we are asking to maintain local authority, this time as it relates to the siting of energy facilities. You may remember during the last General Assembly session, this was a hot topic of them trying to, of a proposal that would have allowed a energy siting development that was rejected by a locality to take it straight to the SCC and kind of circumvent the locality. Obviously, we were successful in getting that legislation defeated. We just want to make sure that we maintain that policy going forward. Next area is fiscal responsibility and budget impacts. Here, we are asking the General Assembly to refrain from reducing local taxing authority or creating additional unfunded mandates. And we are also asking the General Assembly to provide funding to localities for the 100% disabled veteran tax credit. It's a really important program that obviously all of us support, but it's having a outsized impact on localities' budgets, including in Virginia Beach, where it's impacting us by more than $20 million a year. Fifth area is in flooding and stormwater. Key area here that I want to highlight for you is that we want to continue and really emphasize the need to educate the General Assembly and all the members on funding needs that we will have once our Army Corps CSRM study is completed. To obtain federal funding, there is a 35% required local match, and for that 35% local match, we're going to need some state support. We're not the only ones that are in this boat. Norfolk is there already, and Hampton Newport News will be coming right behind us as their CSRM project is completed. So we really think that there's a local coalition to be built around this. Next, we have land use, and you'll see our recurring theme of retaining local control of land use decisions. We are also proposing to include preserving local authority for the regulation of short-term rentals. So that brings us to public safety. Here we propose the inclusion of a request to increase state funding for police, fire, and EMS. The state really has not kept up with its support levels for police through the 599 program. And I think every locality across the Commonwealth would agree that the state could do more for fire and EMS support. Additionally, we are proposing the inclusion of statewide efforts to provide annual cancer screenings for career and volunteer firefighters. This is an issue we anticipate hearing a lot about during the session from localities all across the Commonwealth. Our final policy area is in transportation. Here we are proposing support for multimodal transportation, including improving highways and secondary roadways, additional support for HRT, and supporting efforts to protect vulnerable road users, including cyclists and pedestrians. In addition, if the General Assembly decides to revisit providing additional funding for State Trails Office, we are asking for prioritization of the Virginia Beach Trail. So in addition to the policy areas, we have the traditional legislative requests. These include a charter amendment, 5 code changes, 1 resolution, and 2 budget amendments. First, we are proposing to ask the General Assembly to adopt the charter change regarding the 10-1 election system that was used in 2022 and will be used again this fall. As a reminder, this will require a 2/3 majority of each chamber to pass the General Assembly. And then in addition, we are proposing to bring back the general law change that we had in last year's legislative agenda regarding the 10-1 election system. This would only require a majority of each chamber. And yes, of course, the governor to sign as well. During the 2024 session, we were successful in getting the General Assembly to put together a work group to make recommendations for a grant program that would support local government employees who respond to emergencies where toxic materials are present, events like the Good Friday jet crash that took place here in Virginia Beach. Over the last few months, Chief Stroud, Chief Pravitz, and myself have served on that work group to develop the guidelines that would govern that grant program. If passed as designed by the work group, this grant program would support cancer screenings for any employee who responds to these types of events and would provide reimbursement for out-of-pocket expenses encountered if one of these responders contracted cancer. So obviously we were proposing that we create the grant, the General Assembly create the grant program, but also provide funding for that. Our next agenda item is a proposal from our police department. The issue here is that the ABC stores across the Commonwealth are the scene of too many retail thefts. In Virginia Beach, ABC thefts make up nearly 1/4 of all retail thefts, a disproportionate percentage of these types. The reporting and investigating of these thefts takes up a lot of our police officers' time and resources. Meanwhile, the Virginia ABC Bureau of Law Enforcement has the capacity to take up these requirements. This proposal would designate the Virginia ABC Bureau of Law Enforcement as the primary law enforcement agency responsible for reporting and investigating these crimes. Our police, of course, would still respond to any event and provide support where needed, but it is the hope that by designating ABC Law Enforcement as the primary, it will spur some changes at ABC to reduce the thefts and will free up our officers to concentrate on additional challenges. We anticipate this request will be coming from multiple localities. Our next agenda item is a proposal from our fire department. Here we are proposing that we request an increase in the fund that supports local fire departments. Currently, the fire programs fund is funded by a 1% levy of 5 types of insurance that include fire protections. This proposal would ask for an increase in that 1%, raising it to 1.5%. The last increase was in 1995 when it went from 0.8 to that 1%. Our final code change is a request from the City Attorney's Office and Public Works. Here, we would like to request that the General Assembly make a minor modification to Virginia Code Section 25.1-204 that will clarify that the documents to be provided to landowners during a condemnation process should be those listed in the title report. Our team has encountered a challenge with the current interpretation of the existing statute, where the courts are now requiring 60 years worth of documentation and duplication of each and every document in each title record over that 60-year span. despite these documents having no bearing on the process. So this recommended code change would clarify that the documents to be provided to the landowner should be those listed in the title report, and these are the documents that provide the ownership stake and have bearing on the process. Next, we have one resolution that was proposed by Councilwoman Rouse and was joined by the mayor, vice mayor, and Councilman Schulman to request that the state adopt a similar resolution that the city recently adopted, declaring the first week of September as Zero Waste Awareness Week. Finally, we have two budget requests. These are, of course, in addition to the requested spending items that we have listed in our policy priorities for affordable housing and flooding and transportation and other items like that. The first one is a request from Emergency Management to support a study from the Virginia Department of Emergency Management to study if the Commonwealth should and could create an individual assistance program. So currently, an individual assistance program exists only at the federal level here in Virginia. To qualify for an IA program, there must be a federally declared emergency, and that emergency must meet certain thresholds for the amount of damage done. Many times, however, an event does not qualify, and over the last 20 years, only about a third of the time did an emergency in Virginia qualify for the IA program. One of those instances that did not qualify was the tornado over in the Great Neck area. The Virginia Department of Emergency Management has proposed a study as the first step to create an IA program. Second budget request comes from the Virginia Aquarium. Last year, Senator DeSteph sponsored a budget amendment for $10 million in each year of the biennial budget for fiscal years 24 and 25. Unfortunately, that did not make it into the budget. We would like to renew that request as an amendment to the FY25 budget. To conclude my presentation today, we are proposing to once again hold a legislative reception here at City Hall. We propose to hold the reception on November 21st in the evening from 5:30 to 7. This will be very similar to last year's. As you remember, I think all of you attended last year. And we'll build in some of the recommendations that we heard, some of the feedback from y'all at the conclusion of that event. But I think it really turned out well and was a great opportunity to continue to build the strong relationships that are necessary to keep moving Virginia Beach forward during the General Assembly session. So, Mr. Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you for any initial questions or guidance on our proposed draft agenda and on our proposal to once again hold a legislative reception on November 22nd.
Hey, before I get to Rosemary, I think one very important thing is on the Good Friday. Yeah, I mean, we remember that, tragedy, and thank God. But once again, there were a lot of after repercussions with that. And it's only appropriate today, we're going to be voting, in the first item, for enhanced, screenings and everything. And we can also remember that a lot of the folks that were there may be retired or something that, we reach our hearts and out to that, them also going forward. Okay. Rosemary and then Jennifer.
It's, I don't have this in front of me, but it seems like in the past, we asked for some help on Atlantic Avenue with the vendors putting their wares out and trying to get them not to be putting those out on the sidewalks. And I know we haven't been successful with that, but we want to put that back in there this year.
Yeah, if there's a number of council sponsors that want to put it on per the policy, we will put it back on. But I think it's, as you said, Councilman, Vice Mayor, apologies, Vice Mayor. We've tried 3 times and we have been unsuccessful, but obviously it's a priority of certain members of the oceanfront stakeholders, and also if it's council members want us to put it on, we could definitely put it back in.
And the other thing is the misutility and the markings that they put on our pavers and sidewalks.
Using that to be the washable paint, right? I think
Yeah,
that was the one.
if we could do something so that doesn't stay there for months and months and months, because it really looks ugly.
Okay. So
it's really bad.
So Vice Mayor, for the first one, I got Mr. Remick saying yes, you're saying yes, and Mr. Schumer was saying yes. On the second one, and Mr. Hutchison was saying yes. So for the washable paint for the misutilities. Okay. All right, Mr. Remick, Mr. Schumer, Vice Mayor. Okay. All right.
Okay, Jennifer, and then Worth.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Brent, for the presentation. We chatted earlier, so can you just explain regarding the October 15 public hearing, why the 10-1 charter amendment is treated separately from the legislative agenda.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate you for the reminder on that. So as a city proposes a change to its charter, there are certain obligations you have to take under the Virginia Code, and one of them is to hold a public hearing. So if you're going to change your charter through this process, you have to hold a public hearing. Our legislative agenda is something that is just for the city. There are no, Virginia code or even local code that governs that. And so that's why there's no advertisement for that. But it will be on the agenda and available to folks publicly ahead of time.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Worth?
Thank you, Mayor Dyer. Thank you, Brent, for the presentation. Speed cameras, is anyone interested in that, police or constituents are asking about it?
So I think if you go back to the slide that you had, that's one of the things that is inside. What do you call it? Like
The policy priorities
policy
is
priorities.
listed under, I can't remember.
Public safety.
Public safety.
Yeah.
Public check.
Yep.
Yeah, so we have it in there.
Mhm.
And I anticipate there will be legislation introduced on this front.
So basically, once council adopts the legislative package, this statement will be in there to give Brent and our state lobbyists the authority to advocate for these things in the General Assembly, and if other renditions of it comes up as well.
Yeah. And just one add-on, if I could maybe comment on the request for the aquarium, $10 million for the aquarium. I agree with that. We should seek more money from the General Assembly as well as Washington, D.C. and the Congress. But right now, there's an active MOU being drafted and to be agreed upon between us and the foundation for the aquarium. And so I think a part of that will be a road plan on how we're going to do that. So right now, things are being assessed, physical plant, financial situation. So while I agree with that, I think we may want to look at that later on how we present that to Richmond, because it's important how they see us. Thank you.
Okay, Josh?
Thank you, Brent, for the update. And I remember we did this last year, and I remember it didn't work out, and I forget why entirely, but the taxing on the vaping products, and just because that's been a big hit to schools in particular, so, and our city revenue, so is that in there somewhere?
So we didn't explicitly spell that out. And you may recall we did try that last year, and the stumbling block that we kind of ran into is on the implementation, that it's very complex to figure out how to implement. And
Do other states do it? I mean,
I'll have to look into see what other states do. I just know that we as a state have had challenges on how to physically do it. It's not the concept, it's not so much the idea behind it or the philosophy. It's on how to physically do it and do it in a way that is efficient enough to where the tax isn't absorbed by those costs to implement. And that's really been the challenge so far. But we did include in here a clause here that says that as the General Assembly moves forward with creating additional revenue streams, that they remember to do the same thing for local governments. And I did that really with the idea of some of these vaping products and some of the other things that the General Assembly has taken up over the last couple of years, that they're creating revenue streams for themselves. And sometimes they are remembering to do that, include local governments who are impacted by the implementation of these things. Sometimes they're kind of forgetting to do that. And so we just wanted to make sure that we're included.
between now and next year, I won't ask for support around the table right now, but let's work with some people to kind of figure this out, because, I mean, it can't be that hard.
So, and I think if council wants, and I think Councilmember Schulman, if council wants us to put it back in, we can. Yeah, and it was.
We asked for the less, I want to make sure our asks are clean. So let me work on it for a year, and I'll.
Okay, and multiple cities have asked for it, right? So I think several cities asked for it as well. And what Brent was articulating as well is not something that the local cities were talking about. This is something that they're hearing from the state. It's particularly the tax department from the state.
That's right.
That's saying there's a difficulty in implementing that kind of tax under Virginia's way of taxing, and that's what they're having difficulty. So it wasn't Brent articulating a viewpoint of his own. It was what he was hearing from the Commonwealth.
I didn't know our state had such a problem taxing people.
Brent, can you give us an update on the gaming or the gambling stuff? I've heard different things in the community. I was in a gas station the other day.
station, they didn't seem to know that the General Assembly had taken action. So is it now legal for these 7-Elevens and shops to reinstall the same equipment that they were told they had to uninstall?
Well, I guess that really depends on who you ask, Councilman, but there is a bit of a continuing dialogue and what the gaming proponents would describe as a bit of a gray area. So the law hasn't changed. These what they call skill games are currently not legally allowed to operate. What the gaming proponents have done is they have a new type of skill game that they believe isn't a skill game. They call them a pre-reveal game, or they call them, there's some other sort of stipulation because you're not inserting money into them that they believe it doesn't fall under the existing code. And so there's these kind of gray areas and there are different interpretations of it. And so it's a bit of a, I don't know, it's not as concrete as you would hope at the moment. But nothing has changed under the law. They tried multiple versions there in the last General Assembly session. It did not pass. There was a lot of talk about coming back for a special session based on some new legislation for it. That hasn't come to fruition yet. And so as far as the law is, it is not changed since the last time we talked about it.
All right, anybody else at this point? All right, thank you very much. Good intro. Good way to get going. Okay, at this point, so we're going to have council comments. If I could just start off with one, both Senators DeStef and Craig are starting an initiative, Bless Our Southwest, and they're asking for donations in non-perishable food and water, animal food, and whatever paper products, whatever you're willing to donate. And I understand our Sheriff Rocky is making drop-off available 24/7. We can get you more details out there, and then also at Senator DeStef's office. But once again, we lift our prayers for all the folks that were severely impacted by that storm. Okay, anybody else at this point for council comments or anything? Okay, Rosemary, Amelia, and then Rosemary, and then Barbara.
Well, I just wanted to mention the concern that I think we probably all are feeling about the longshoremen going on strike. And that's going to really affect our area. I think there's 3,400 jobs here in the port's really important to us. And it's going to, I think we could have a big impact from this. So what I've read in the paper and the media, I don't really know much more than that. But hopefully it won't last for long. And I think it could really hurt those that are economically deprived because it's going to make the cost of goods go up and things like that. It could really, hurt a lot of people who can least afford it.
Okay, we got Amelia, Barbara, and Chris.
Rosemary's comment.
Okay, please go right ahead.
This morning, my wife's uncle and her grandfather were longshoremen, and I spoke with her uncle this morning. They are running in shifts in terms of their protest. The goal is for it to not be up to 2 months. That's kind of their mark. These longshoremen are only receiving 1/3 of their pay. And so the last time this happened, I was told it was in the late 70s, and it took 2 months. And so not all of these individuals are supportive, but they're staying together. And so there are many members out there that have to survive on 1/3 of their paycheck, which is, if you know, longshoremen, based on how many hours they're actually working, it's not like a set salary. And so there are a lot of people that are going to be impacted, but they said they're not budgeting until they get what they want. And for her uncle, their timeline is it's going to be at least 2 months unless they get exactly what they're asking for.
Yeah, thank you for that. Appreciate it. Okay.
That is very sad, especially when they were mentioning not only that, but our Virginia ports. The people just your necessary toiletries. They run out of certain things. So to not be greedy, but get what you need so it's enough to go around. But thanks for sharing that, Councilman Taylor. I was just going to mention that this Saturday is our Virginia African American Cultural Center Fall Festival at Saturday, and it's from 12 to 5, and then we're going to have around 1:30 to 2 a ribbon cutting because the NBA, in partnership with the Something in the Water, a year ago, when they were looking for community enhancements to do, all of us wrote, hoping that we'll get noticed, and they drove drones around from what I heard. And Nike said, well, we will go and help with the community basketball. And the NBA said, nope, we're going to do it. As a result, they sent $105,000 to completely renovate that basketball court. We've got 2 little bleachers. We've gotten all the backboards done with murals from who designed that was Hamilton Glass. You will see some of his work at Busch Gardens. So the community is so excited. As we put that up yesterday, I mean, tons of youth came out just to try out. So if you have a minute to come out and see that, it really is uplifting for that area, which is, like Lake Edward Park, but it's now part of our organization, Gifted Land. But not only that, I said, maybe I can go to Amazon and ask for a few, basketballs. And when I look, 50 basketballs came from the NBA to give away to the youth that are going to be there. So it just shows you that we are mentioning that no matter, even though we've had the problems with Something in the Water, that they have that community heart, that not only at SeaTac, but out in District 4, that we're going to have this. And if you have a minute, please come out. There will be live bands, there will be children's activities, bounce houses, which even the parents get into now. So that's my good news.
That's good
No,
news.
thank you. And, my friend, Councilmember Dr. Amelia Russ Hammond, a number of years ago, you had a dream and a vision, and it's coming to fruition through your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, and I must mention Parks and Rec.
Oh, yeah.
They have been right with me. Jason Baines, Michael Kirschwin, Steve, they're out there, even some of the women coming out to help us get things ready. So
Outstanding.
thank you.
Good. Barbara?
Some of you, I see you're on the list that had this here, and I just opened it as I got here. But it's a notification from the Department of Army Corps of Engineers of some places where there might be some munitions from long ago, military munitions that may be present on their property and so forth. And for some reason, they have decided to identify Creeds as one of the places. And of course, we all know that it was active in the Second World War and so forth. But my concern is that they apparently are going to be sending notices to some property owners. And I don't want anybody to panic. I know the city manager was on the mailing list, as well as the fire chief and police chief. If y'all could look at this and see just what they are going to do, and I would like for our neighborhood to know what this is all about so that it's not something new. I mean, that's been there forever, and whatever's prompted this. But if people start getting letters in the mail, it might cause some concern, and I just want us to be on top of it. So if we can kind of see what they plan to do and why, so we can get ahead of it, it would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay, Kristen, then Josh.
Thank you, Mayor Dyer. We've had a lot of conversation from the community about kind of heads up when we're doing, whether it's planning, beautification issues in their community, and they don't have kind of notice. And this happened in District 8 earlier this month, where we removed quite a bit of vegetation and flowers from a corridor, and a resident reached out, the citizen constituent, to staff, copy the council member. It is relevant to BAC, but I wanted to really give thanks and kudos to Patrick and his team, because once they recognized the issue, which has been a concern, which is, if you come into our community or you're going to make a big drastic shift, a change, let us know. And so Mr. Frank Fentress responded immediately. He apologized for the work taking place without notifying the Civic League or the BAC. And then Patrick, to your credit and leadership, the junior staffer then came behind Mr. Fentress and communicated to the Civic League and the individual. And her first sentence is, "I take full responsibility for the lack of communication. I really did drop the ball, and I know communication is integral to our work, and I look forward to the opportunity to move forward working with XYZ Civic League." And so we don't hear about these stories often, but it was within 48 hours, it was addressed, and now staff is going to work alongside the Civic League to make sure they get their flowers back, make sure the planting is in approval with BAC. They're going to come before us. And so it really is an example of what we don't hear about transparency, accountability, responsibility. And so, Patrick, thank you for holding the staff to that level of expectation. And thank you to the junior staffer as well as Mr. Fentress. I'm not going to say her name. I don't want to embarrass her. And to Todd Solomon on the Bayfront, thank you for keeping your council member in the loop so we could try to resolve this community problem.
Outstanding. Good news. Josh?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just had the honor of running what felt like a marathon and a sprint at the same time this weekend, being part of the Neptune Royal Court. And I just want to acknowledge what an amazing experience that was. And congratulations to all the festival organizers, to the hundreds upon hundreds of volunteers. I've never ran in a parade before, but it was about 15, 16 blocks of running and handing out beads to people. And I met so many people who, obviously residents, but people who had been coming here for the last 30 plus years just to attend the festival. And people who just so happened to be in Virginia Beach and didn't know the festival was going on and said that they were going to come back year after year just because of everything they saw. Another highlight on Sunday was the youth art show that was on the boardwalk. Our high school students put together some fabulous artwork that was on display. And of course the race on Saturday morning to kick everything off. There was a little rain on Friday, but we had a beautiful couple of days, Saturday and Sunday, and just what an amazing experience. So just kudos to everybody who took part in it.
Okay, Worth.
Thank you, Mayor Dyer. And if I could just pile on there and congratulate Kid Shope and the Neptune team for this is their 50th anniversary. What a great, authentic weekend. It's really a lot of folks, thousands of people attended this weekend and so many events. I know the weather was bad Friday night, but congratulations. And then this weekend, somewhat closing out the resort festivals and weekends is the Boardwalk Art Show starts Friday and ends Sunday. I believe not doors open, but the Boardwalk is open at around 10 o'clock Friday. So come and visit the Boardwalk Art Show this weekend.
Okay, anybody else? Amelia?
Yes, I forgot one thing. The District 4 community meeting is on October 3rd from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at Williams Recreation Park or Farm. And a special thanks to Drew Langford, Terry, Amanda, and also my legislative aide, Diana, for working along with me to get this ready. And we will provide some refreshment courtesy of myself.
Okay, thank you all. Okay, at this point, the chair will entertain a motion to recess and, with the agenda, my apologies.
So, as far as I know, we only have one speaker, and that's on item 4. So is everybody okay with everything on ordinances and resolutions?
You good to go?
Yeah, item 4, with one speaker, it's not going to be pulled, is it?
No.
No, good. I would just like to comment because I asked questions about this agreement last week, and I asked for the full agreement, and I read all of it. But I really appreciate being able to do that because we did have this, these concerns about how these particular entities are operated with the Victus study, and I wanted to compare if the agreement seemed to be fulfilling what the Victus study recommended, and I think I was really pleased to see the in-depth nature of the agreement and what it does and so forth. But I also, as I mentioned earlier, really appreciate the emails we got from the stakeholder groups that use these facilities, and they were just all so complimentary of Mr. Thornton and the way he's operating it and so forth. But it really helped me understand what's going on out there, and really spoke to the amount of usage that these sports facilities are getting. So thank you for that extra step you took. I learned a lot from it, and I appreciate that.
Okay, so is everybody okay with everything on what is the resolutions?
Yeah.
Okay, Chris, and then, wait a minute, Josh, Chris, and Mark.
Thanks. Item number 3, I don't want it pulled, and I guess the most important thing I can say about this, or will say, is I support the Ag Reserve Program, because I think it's an extremely important land use tool and strategic growth. It prioritizes agriculture and helps us kind of manage growth in a responsible way. But we're paying $1.2 million for 153 acres, 43 acres of which are developable, and 110 are not, and they're actively farmed. I understand, and we're getting 5 development rights from it. Again, I know it checks all the boxes. I just wanted to say it out loud, just for everybody around the table. And Councilman Henley, I mentioned something to you last week, because as a supporter of the program, I don't want to have any degree of heartburn over any of it. And I understand that the 43 acres could potentially be re-subdivided and a new road built, and maybe 14 or 15 houses built. And that's not necessarily, in line with what we want to see in the southern part of our city. But I do have just kind of a little bit of a misgiving with paying for 153 acres of property where we're really only getting 5 development rights, and out of those 153 acres, only 43 are developable. So I just wanted to hear it, and I'll be supporting it at the dais. I don't want to have this conversation out there just around the table.
Okay. Let's go with Mike, I'm sorry. Okay, let's go ahead
It's
and we can do
important that
that.
it's not just the current 5 development rights, but when people sell their development rights, they're also selling the right to come in for rezoning anytime in the future, which could be rezoned before. I mean, if we didn't do this, so when they sell their development rights, they're selling development rights, and can only be used for agriculture in perpetuity. I think there was some confusion that it's only 25 years, but it's in perpetuity. So it's not just what's there or what could be built there today, it's any future as well.
Okay, Chris and Mark.
As it relates to item number 4, since we're not going to pull it, I'm not going to be supporting that item. I spoke with Mr. Thornton. I think they have done a phenomenal job. I think they are doing a great job. But when you look at these other entities, other organizations, similar, 20-year commitment, when we really haven't defined a clear vision of what we're going to do for sports with the issues we have with other operators. I read all the emails, but 20 years is quite a lengthy contract. We don't know what's going to take place, but emails are great. He's done a great job. I supported, I think, the $8 or $9 million that we gave him with an audit that we may or may not have read that came out a few years ago, and then without being audited until I think 26 or 27, what I heard. I can't support the 20-year mark. I also want to be on the record that I think if we're going to make agreements with operators, and there's language in there that they just can't hit, meaning his threshold, if we've never received a penny over the threshold, we don't intend to receive a penny over the threshold, we should probably remove it, because I have received many emails from constituents that don't understand how we continue to say these partnerships are successful if they're not hitting the metrics that are actually in the contract. So if we're not going to hold these vendors to hitting these marks, we can't continue to tell the public that it's successful, it's profitable, if they haven't earned a penny over that threshold ever. And so I've spoken to the operator, I've spoken to some of his supporters, they understand my position, but 20 years with language that we probably won't ever get a penny in terms of that metric, we might as well remove it. But thank you. I won't have to say that on the
Okay,
dais.
thank you. Okay. Worth, and then Michael.
Thank you, Mayor Dyer. So on item number 3, the Agricultural Reserve Program, Also want to comment that I'm going to be supporting it tonight, a very strong supporter of the ARP program, but I do think we're the only buyer in these situations. We're creating our own market and our own price. And so I do think we should be looking at the value we're paying for these rights, because I understand both sides, but we in the future, we could agree not to rezone it in the future, and that stops the development. So, and that's a future council, not today, but I think we've got to look at that. And again, I'm a big supporter of the program, and we'll be voting yes on that. Item number 4 on the hometown sports. I think this was a good exercise, at least for me. I did read the agreement. It is a long-term commitment. That's what kind of not scared me, but alerted me to the importance of this. Is it perfect? Probably not, but I think they have done a great job. We've got a lot of emails in support of it, and I'm supporting it. And in terms of the thresholds, there's no inflation factor. So these thresholds that are applicable today in 5 years, they could be blowing through them. So we'll see. I'm not counting on any future stream of income from it, but I think it's well run and it does a lot for our city.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Mayor. On item 1, I have a question, and I would like to, I really wasn't prepared to address that question last week, and I'm still not fully prepared because I have a lot to learn on the topic. But I would like to find a way to, and I think we need to find a way to include testing for all first responders to the Good Friday Day crash that occurred. One of the things we hear is that sheriff's deputies and police officers who were on scene that day were exposed to toxic chemicals. They're very concerned about the impact those chemicals could have on their own health, and I think we need to include them in a testing program, especially now that we know more about the cost of that program. It's something that I know you all have heard about as well, and I don't know why we just can't simply extend that test screening to those responders, and so that they can have the peace of mind about knowing about that. That's part 1. Really, I'll just stop there.
So the council's given me authorization, if they approve the legislation that's before them, to come up with an appropriate program for the police, EMS, and sheriff's departments as well. So it's not an immediate appropriation right now at this time. We did previously provide a scope of what that would look like to council. I think it's a couple $100,000 if you wanted to include all those departments that responded to the Good Friday that were city employees. But it would be something that we could bring forward as part of the operating budget for council to consider, and then that would afford that opportunity for those employees to take advantage of those tests.
I think that would be good. I don't know enough about. I'm not an expert in the area of occupational hazards, so I'm not going to caution to know what's best. But for example, the occupational hazard for fire, we know what it is, and I fully support them receiving that screening. And then there are other hazards that exist for other fields, and I think it's very important that we include them as well. And it may not be that I guess what the point that I'm making is we may not need to test sheriffs and police officers for cancer the same way, but that may not be the cause, but or the hazard that they face. But particularly the ones who are on scene that day, I think deserve that opportunity.
And that's what I said last week when I said about that I believe I was pretty specific on that, is that the cardiovascular screening and all the other screening may be more warranted than just the cancer. But for that one incident, of course, we could include more. So it's kind of a 2-part.
For police and sheriffs, I think it's stress, cardiovascular disease, and suicide, which is, on the mental health side, another large.
Does council want to add that to it, that we?
When I mentioned before with the legislative package, I think we have to.
So, Mr. Mayor, let me mention this. Council we are looking for that as part of the legislative package of the state. Do you want us to go through that process first?
Yeah, I think
we're in a good spot with the state, because the state did specifically ask us to do a study. They appointed 2 members of our staff on it, and they were making a recommendation to them. So they're going to take that up as part of the General Assembly. You would still have time as part of the budget process if the General Assembly does not act on funding anything for the Good Friday folks, and you could then give direction at that time for us to take that up.
I think as long as we agree, we got to get the yes on it and include them.
Mr. Mayor, I'm here. We're going to leave the legislation that's on your table now.
Yeah.
We'll go through the state process to see how the state
Yeah,
handles
we'll
it.
have a dual track to get to, yes. Okay, Marla?
Well, I think there are two parts of this. There's the ongoing for future things, which is what I think we were looking at with the fire department, but we, I think, should also look at other public safety. But when we're looking at the specific incident of the Good Friday, I mean, wouldn't we want to include any city employees who were there, period?
Councilmember Henley, that's what the state legislation is doing right now, right? So remember, that was in council's practice last year. And then the state said, we're interested, let's convene a study. And they put our fire chief and our EMS chief and Brent McKenzie on there to help them work out the schematics of it. And they're presenting that to the General Assembly. It's likely the General Assembly is going to take that up during the next session in January. And then if the General Assembly doesn't fund it, that'll still be enough time in the budget process for council to figure out how they take care of the Good Friday members that were impacted.
Not just the public safety people who were there, but did we have people there from works and public utilities? I mean, did we have any other people there? Wouldn't they all have had the same
The
experience?
answer is yes.
Yes.
There is
Yeah.
some other people. We have one in the control room there
Mhm.
that was there quite extensively.
And I think we can make sure that whatever comes to the General Assembly covers that. And then if the General Assembly doesn't take it up, that's still enough time during the budget process that council could then direct us to fund it for the Good Friday members that responded.
So it would be everybody. Okay.
Yeah, and then that would also include people that are retired and.
Correct, and volunteers
Yeah,
from
volunteers,
EMS and things like that.
everybody. Yeah, we're gonna get it right. Okay, anybody else? Okay.
No, I'm in agreement with
All
what
right, so
was
we
said.
have, there's one planning item, and we're all waiting to hear what Council Lady Henley wants to do with.
Well, I have a feeling the applicant is going to want to speak, so they want to be heard because but at this point, I'm just thinking that the staff recommendation is what I would feel that we need to go with because it is a pretty complicated issue, and I think that recommendation from staff is for denial. But I really think the applicant's going to want to speak, so we probably need to pull that.
Okay, are we ready? The chair will entertain a motion to recess into a closed session pursuant to the exemptions from open meeting allowed by section 2.23711A Code of Virginia as amended for the following purposes. Publicly held property, discussions or considerations of acquisition of real property for the purpose or disposition of publicly held property where discussions in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of public bodies pursuant to section 2.23711A3, District 2, public contract, discussion or award of public contract involving the expenditure of public funds and the discussion of terms or scope of such contract, where the discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body pursuant to section 2.23711A29, Project Ranch. Proprietary information related to business, trade, or tourism development. Discussions or consideration or propriety of information voluntary provided by private business pursuant to the promise of confidentiality from a public body used in the public body for business, for tourism development or retention and memoranda, working papers or other information related to businesses that are locating or expanding to Virginia prepared by the public body where competition or bargaining is, bargaining is involved, where disclosure of such information would adversely affect the financial interests of body pursuant to section 2.2370563 and section 2.23711A40. That was a long one. District 5 and District 5 and 6. And then legal matters, consultation with legal counsel, and briefings by staff members or consultants pertaining to the actual or probable litigation where such consultation or briefing in open meetings would adversely affect the negotiating and litigating posture to the section 2.23711A, and that's Atlantic Park mediation demand. Do I have a motion? You gotta forgive me, I got a little bit of a cold coming on.
Second.
Okay.
Councilmember
Roll call.
Pelagie?
Aye.
Councilmember Hensley?
Aye.
Councilmember Hutchinson? Aye.
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 All right. Recess.